Yo, Atlas speaking and welcome to part 3 of What If I Was Reborn in One Piece as a fishman and became the king of the great Fishman Empire. Let the tale begin. Chapter 61, Pain? More like pleasure. As Jaw hears Big Mom say that, he expresses his anger at this and threatens Big Mom with her life. But Big Mom is not at all intimidated by Jaw. She is a Yonko too. She has never been afraid of Jaw and is most likely to never be afraid of him. You will come to Whole Cake Island, unmanned and unarmed, stated Big Mom. You can come and get your son. As Big Mom says that, both of them know the double meaning behind that. Jaw, on the other hand, can feel a heaviness settle over his heart as he hears this. His mind works faster than normal as he tries to figure out what he will do next. Hundreds of options appear on his head. His heart is all about saving his son and that. But his mind, on the other hand, is calm, absolutely calm, as he contemplates. I need to think this more clearly. My mind is currently in disarray. In the end, Jaw just clenches his teeth and takes a deep breath. He calms himself, and a dull, strange look appears on his eyes as he blinks. You kill him, and the Big Mom pirates will never again set sail on the sea. I will kill and torture every single one of your children that I catch. I will *PE any of your daughters in front of their siblings before torturing them to insanity, and when the day comes when I will take everything from you, you will beg me to finally give you the sweet release of death, states Jaw as if he is stating a fact. He doesn't allow Big Mom to speak as he continues saying, I will hunt you down, Big Mom. Either you return my son to me or you will suffer a fate worse than death. There is no other deal. As he says that, he just closes the transponder snail. Caching. He still has that cold look even after finishing his talk with Big Mom. He gets up and takes a deep breath. The air around his vicinity is sucked out as his lungs enlarge. Everyone gather up on the streets. Kisame has been captured by the big Moem pirates. Let's go slaughter them. As Jaw yells that, the whole island shakes like an earthquake hit it. Everyone on the island winces a little due to the loud sound, and even Kakashi, who is relaxing while trying to think up new ideas on how to use his devil fruit. Everyone is startled, and the siblings are all enraged as their eyes are filled with rage before they can even be surprised at the situation. Immediately, hundreds of Dendemishi ring as countless people are notified within the island and out of it about what has happened. On the other hand, in Whole Cake Island, Big Mom is mad as she looks at the transponder snail. While in the same room she is sitting on her chair, she has some of her children around, and at the corner of the room, there is a bloody Kisame with chains around his wrists, ankles, and all over his body. His body has countless injuries, and it is evident that he has had no medical attention. Even the piece that is missing from his abdomen hasn't been bandaged to stop the bleeding. But he has already used Tekai to tighten his muscles to stop the bleeding. By the usage Saimai Kikken, life return, he has been able to use his muscle fibers like stitches to close the wound completely. Kikikikiki. Laughs Kisame as he sees Big Mom angry. Everyone turns around to look at him, and Kisame looks straight back at them. You guys are so kid. I have never heard Dad be so mad. I kind of feel sorry for you. One of Big Mom's daughters, she is a member of the Long Leg tribe. Cinnamon is a tall woman and has a tattoo on her upper left thigh. Similar to her sister Smoothie, she has disproportionately large hands. She has long, mahogany hair tied in a high ponytail. She wears a striped blue hourglass corset, a short skirt, long dark gloves with elbow padding, a pair of high dark boots, and a long white cape. She is Cinnamon, Big Mom's 37th child. She has a whip in her hand as she gets close to Kisame, who, when he sees her enraged look on her face, he teased her. Well, you are a big girl, ain't ya? So what are you going to do with a whip like that, big girl? Whoosh! Pam! She whips Kisame along his torso, but he only has a smile on his face as that happens. You will have to take me to dinner before we get into SNM, baby. Mocks Kisame, angering Cinnamon even more as she starts whipping him even more. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. She whips Kisame countless times until she starts breathing heavily a couple of minutes later. She looks at Kisame with a triumphant look, but when she sees that he still has a smile on his face, it angers her once again. Kisame looks at her face full of anger and says, Do it a little harder, babe. If you keep being this soft, neither of us will be able to get any pleasure out of it. Cinnamon is disgusted by it and is about to whip Kisame again, but Katakuri appears behind her and grabs her hand. It's no use, Cinnamon, a whip doesn't faze him. Even a bullet wouldn't do much to him as he is tightening his muscles and is using haki at the same time as he sees where the whip will hit him. Kisame, when he sees this, has an annoyed look on his face. Oi! Katakuri, how about you mind your own damn business and let the girl do whatever she wants? He then looks at Cinnamon and smiles creepily as his tongue creepily waggles around. Do go on, Cinnamon-chan. I was just getting into it. Cinnamon becomes angry and takes out her sword and slashes at Kisame's forehead. Clang! But sadly for her, Kisame uses haki on his forehead and breaks the sword in two. Now that is what I'm talking about, Cinnamon-chan. Next time bring some candles and let's light this sh*t up. Kiki. In the end, Smoothie is the one to intervene by saying, Cinnamon, stop it. You are only bringing more pleasure to the pervert. Use fire next time. There is no way he can resist that, no matter how thick his skin is. Now we are talking, exclaims Kisame in a joyous face. You should join us too, Smoothie-chan. Smoothie frowns at that and walks away, so do the other children and so does Big Mom. We will bring some professional torturers to do the job better, says Smoothie coldly. Kisame has a small smirk on his face as he hears that and replies by saying, Hope it's a cute girl then. 12 hours later and Jaw's army had gathered. There was only one flying ship, just for the devil fruit users, and to guide the troops. There were 30,000 fishmen and amongst them was Jinbe too. After all, Jibe might be a Shichibukai, but he is still under Jaw. When he calls on you, you better show up, especially when he seemed so genuinely angry. The fishmen has all surrounded the whole of Totland. They had surrounded every single island under Big Mom. Jaw is at the head of the ship as he looks at the giant cake-like castle of Whole Cake Island. He has Kakashi next to him standing as his right-hand man. Jaw then takes out his katana which crackles in electricity. BZZZZZT. Kill them all, announces Jaw as his haki-imbued sword slashes faster than anyone's eyes can follow. Thunder sword style, heaven slicing slash. Whoosh! A giant blue flying slash is created as it charges towards the castle where Big Mom resides. Chapter 62, Big Mom vs. Jaw. As the blue flying slash goes towards Big Mom's castle, the owner of the castle, Big Mom, appears standing on a dark cloud. Her hair was up in flames and so was her sword. As she sees the flying slash, she just frowns in slight annoyance. As the slash gets within slashing distance, her sword, Napoleon, seems to be alive and covered in fire with a malicious look on its face. Big Mom then just swings her sword, putting all of her strength behind it. Hahaba. Boom! As the flying slash crashes with Big Mom, it creates a deafening roar as the flying slash gets dispersed. Big Mom has a terrifying look on her face as her eyes land on Jaw. He has already destroyed some of her fleets by sinking some ships just going around. He didn't care what type of ships they were, whether carrying an army or civilians. If they were carrying the Big Mom flag, they were getting sunk. This is a power play by Jaw, showing other people what would happen if they decided to join or cooperate with Big Mom in any way. Yes, it was obviously unreasonable in the eyes of the average person. But to Jaw this wasn't anything about hate or such things. He simply plans to destroy Big Mom. Since this has already started, then one of them must do. At least that is so in Jaw's opinion. Big Mom brings her sword backward, preparing to throw a giant slash at Jaw. She has an angry smile as she shouts out, Ikoku sovereignty. Boom! As she slashes, her tremendous physical strength is displayed as the attack flies at Jaw. The attack is a powerful one as it obliterates everything on its way. Jaw has a calm look on his face. He needs to be calm or else his observation haki won't work at its best and he will lose his future sight while angry. He takes a slow breath and as he sees Big Mom's attack come towards him, he uses Jeppo and charges towards the attack. His body crackles with lightning that is emitted from his sword. As the attack of Big Mom is within his range, Jaw's sword arm becomes a blur to anyone looking at it. Thunder sword style, heavenly dicing. Boom! Big Mom's attack is cut into small pieces and dispersed. But he doesn't stop there and he charges against Big Mom. He has already laid his plans in motion. Kisame will be rescued and the Big Mom pirates will be completely defeated. That is all that there is to it. Jaw and Big Mom meet in the middle and clash their swords. Clang! This time there was no trick and Jaw could hold back Big Mom as his arms bulk up. Still, he looks into the future. and sees that Big Mom will try to use Prometheus to shot fire at him. That is when Prometheus shoots fire at Jaw while he is preoccupied with holding back Big Mom's attack. Jaw doesn't care as he takes the attack head-on and even uses it to allow himself to slip into Big Mom's guard, and he swings his sword towards her midsection. Clang! But his sword is blocked by a trident covered in haki. Cracks appear all around the trident. Square Machi and Katakuri attacks Jaw with a square-looking fist. Jaw sees this future and immediately jumps back a little as Katakuri uses Square Machi to reinforce his fists while punching. He dodges, and that is when he slashes at Katakuri's throat. Katakuri sees the future too and tries to dodge, but he is a little slow as a giant gash appears along his chest. Blood flows like a fountain out of him and he flies back. He didn't even have time to turn himself into Machi due to Jaw's fast attack speed. This is no longer a battle you can interfere in, Katakuri. Sneered Jaw, no longer seeing Katakuri as someone at his level. Go along and play with some of my children. Be careful though, some of them can bite. As he says that, Jaw slaps the air creating a sonic boom. 10,000 brick palm. Pow! As if hit by an invisible force, Katakuri is thrown backward. Big Mom takes this split second to attack Jaw and punch him in the skull, and Jaw crashes on the ground. That is the future that Jaw sees, so he uses armament haki in one of his arms and blocks her slap. Bomb! Though it pushes him down a little, Jaw can still use Jeppo to reposition himself and attack again. This time as he gets close to Big Mom, he can see the enraged look of the old hag and a small smirk appears on his face. In an instant, he used Jeppo and Suru Midair. In combination it gave him a great speed Midair that allowed him to maneuver around Big Mom. BZZZZT. Jaw POV. Thunder Sword Style, 1000 slash. UAA. Screams Big Mom as dozens of deep cuts appear all over her body. She looks at it with a strange look in her eyes. I just smile at this and get close. Boom! I suddenly feel a giant lightning bolt hit me for a split second in which it paralyzes me. Big Mom smiles again as in that second she punches me in the face with her full strength. Bomb! I can feel myself almost pass out as her fist strikes me, my brain rockets inside of my skull. *T. I did see the attack in the future but couldn't dodge it as it was happening at my blind spot. The split second when I need to again look into the future. But her strength is truly monstrous. I almost got defeated by one punch from her. That is when I have my concentration fully on and attack again. This time I sneakily pull out a small knife from my pocket as my sword slices through Big Mom's flesh, making a huge injury. I take out the small knife and stab it into her wound deep inside. Huh? Big Mom is surprised by this as suddenly she starts feeling a little dizzy and she falls of her could. Bomb! And she lands headfirst on the ground. That was a sea prism small knife. This is why I will never eat a devil fruit, for example, even if I am quite sure of myself about defeating Big Mom in this fight. The fight itself would take days for it to be finished, also I would be a fool that there was a high chance of Big Mom outlasting me in a fight of endurance. Thankfully I used Sea Prism Stone, an absolute weakness to devil fruit users. Also my little way of beating the Yonko, I might not outlast them in a straight-out fight, and might even lose quite badly if the terrain isn't in my favor. But if I use this little trick of mine, I can beat the *T out of Kaido and Big Mom. I approach Big Mom as she is lying on the ground. This trick is unlikely to work twice on a person, so she got to die now. Her children and her whole family will have to go too, even the infant ones. They all threaten my family, so that is unacceptable. I just walk to Big Mom, I don't brag or even say anything to her as I swing my sword downwards at her. Swash! Chapter 63, Split Second Changes. As Jaw swings his sword downwards towards Big Mom, Katakuri sees the future and many of her other children notice this. Katakuri's face pales as he sees the future, notices that his brother Cracker is next to him so he grabs him, and Katakuri's muscles enlarge as he grabs Cracker by his arm and throws him at Jaw. Save Mother! Says Katakuri as he throws Cracker with his full power. Fwash! Cracker flies at top speeds as he hears Katakuri say that he imbues his swords with haki, giving it a shining dark color. Jaw on the other hand can see a candy and mochi wall appear in front of him. But he easily cuts through them like butter. But at the same time, his sword was slowed by a split second. But that was enough time for Cracker to appear in front of him and clash swords with Jaw. Clank! But at the same time, the difference between Jaw's and Cracker's armament hockey was too much. So Jaw easily cut through Cracker's sword and he easily bisects Cracker. Bomb! But at this time Jaw is kneed in the face by an angry Katakuri. Jaw's body flies away and crashes through a dozen trees. Boom! Katakuri has an angry look and wants to go and chase after him, but is stopped by a hand grabbing his leg. He looks down and sees the upper half of Cracker's body. Save. That is all Cracker can say as his eyes dull and he dies. Katakuri can only clench his teeth and use his machi to pull the small dagger out of Big Mom. As he does so, Big Mom immediately gets up and her eyes turn red once she sees Cracker's corpse. What is this feeling? Wonders Big Mom as she can feel a certain empty feeling inside her heart. Though she couldn't exactly move when Cracker saved her, she could still see and feel what he did. What is this emptiness inside of me? Slowly tears appear on her eyes as she just looks at Cracker. Why? Why did you have to die, Cracker? Her eyes then wander towards Jaw and she sees him get up and crack his neck. He is wearing dark blue pants and a black tank top. He looks at Big Mom and a malicious smile appears on his face. Almost gotcha there, old hag, said Jaw. He truly could have killed Big Mom if Cracker didn't interfere. This is the truth of battle. One split second can change the flow of it. Especially a fight at their level, it is even more true. Just like when Jaw used Sea Stone to paralyze and weaken Big Mom, or when Odin lost against Kaido. One split second. Katakuri and Big Mom look at Jaw with a murderous look on their eyes. Parasparrow and Smoothie join them as they look at Jaw. On the other hand, Jaw still has a calm look on his face. If this was before, he would run away. After all, he can't defeat Big Mom and her children together, not even now he can't. But he is no longer alone. BZZZT. In a lightning flash, Kakashi appears next to his father with a spear in his hand. Boom! At the same time, a giant ship crashes and Mikoto comes outside of it, together with a scanner who has an axe in his hand and his body is overly muscular. Boom! Another explosion is heard as a blonde-haired child wearing a brown winter coat appears. This is Deidara, and he is using explosions below his feet to propel himself midair. He lands at his family's side and he has a smile on his face too. As Jaw sees this, he can't help it as a smile appears on his face. Let's show the Big Mom pirates that no one messes with our family. At this time in Big Mom's castle inside the main room where Big Mom would usually stay in, there is Cinnamon who is guarding Kisame, who is still tied in chains. He was looking down and his stomach growled every now and then due to hunger. He hasn't been given food or water since he was captured. Also, he has already been tortured for countless hours already. Water, begged Kisame. As Cinnamon hears this, she gets a little closer and yells at him. Speak up. Water, begs Kisame again. Cinnamon frowns, but she just goes back to her position. She won't be giving him anything to him. But what she didn't notice was Kisame's eyes shine red for a split second and a bloodthirsty smile appear on his face. Fwash! His body moves at incredible speeds and the whole castle shakes as the chains try to restrain him. Cinnamon turns around and her eyes fill with fear as she sees the rabid animal that Kisame had become. She pulls out her sword and swings it at him, but Kisame simply opens his mouth and bites down on the sword. Chomp! He bites through it and Cinnamon is frozen in fear as she feels his sharp teeth go at her neck. She can feel a hot liquid flow down her throat as Kisame chomps down on harder and rips out Cinnamon's throat. A bloody smile appears on his face as he does that. *TCH, you should have brought me water and food. Or this wouldn't have happened. Kisame has been waiting for the perfect moment. He looks at Cinnamon's dead body, he crouches down and munch. Takes a huge bite out of Cinnamon. He starts devouring her body whole. He has been starving for hours and keeping himself concentrated 100% of the time. After devouring her, his stomach is bloated up. Semi-kickin'. Steam is released from his body as slowly all of his old wounds are healed. He also at the same time replenishing the blood that he had lost. He then uses his full strength and easily breaks out of the chains. His strength had replenished back to its peak. Man, that was gross. I guess the better looking ones do taste worse. Though he was a little grossed out that he literally just ate a human being. He doesn't mind it too much as he can hear the explosions happening on the outside. But first, he looks around and sees some sweets. He jumps up and opens his mouth wide and starts devouring the sweets. Munch munch munch. It takes him a couple of minutes as he keeps using life return to replenish his energy back to full. Together with his monstrous body, his body is fully in peak condition. Well, better go and start slaughtering some Charlotte family members, says Kisame, though he doesn't reality mind pain. He definitely isn't letting his torturers get away with it. But he still has his priorities straight as he goes towards one of the walls and punches it. Crash! It easily breaks down and Kisame walks through them. I need to go and meet them, pondered Kisame, as he feels slightly excited with the new ability that he got during the fight against Katakuri. Also, while Kisame was doing that, Jaw and Big Mom are clashing against each other. Kakashi is blitzing Katakuri. He already knows that the latter can see the future. What use is it being able to see the future when you can't even dodge the attack? Reasoned Kakashi. He isn't someone that when he fights against someone like Katakuri, he doesn't fight against the guy head-on. Instead, he had put some metal pillars around Katakuri and is using that method to move at extreme speeds and shocking Katakuri continuously. Though Katakuri isn't really hurt as he turns his body into mochi before the lightning hits him. Escanor on the other hand is fighting against Smoothie as he also has Makoto's help do that. Prospero at this time is fighting against Deidara and is actually losing. He surrounds Deidara with candy but Deidara simply explodes himself as soon as he sees that he is about to be restricted or hit by an attack. He is using his explosions as a defense too. I really should thank Big Bro Itachi for getting me this fruit, mused Deidara as he has a smile on his face. The battle was currently in a stalemate once again, though Jaw's children weren't winning. They were still able to keep the Big Mom children occupied. Chapter 64, The World Will Rotate. Jaw clashes Big Mom with ferocious clashes. Bomb! Their swords clash once more, the sky above them splits apart as a storm starts brewing. Neither of them talks or mocks each other. They are here to fight, not play around. And so Jaw again lets the lightning from his Raijin run through his body and increasing its capabilities for a split second. His sword moves like a snake, easily going through Big Mom's guard. Fwash! 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 In a split second dozens of scars appear around Big Mom's arms. Jaw doesn't dare to keep the lightning inside his body for too long as it will start shocking his internal organs and that would hurt him more than it would hurt Big Mom. But if he uses the lightning in just split seconds like that, then there is no danger to him and the injury to his body is only minimal and it will heal along the fight. Big Mom is not bothered at all by the injuries that appear along her arms as she again goes to attack Jaw again. But she is still being careful now. She doesn't want to be taken by surprise with a C-prism weapon like before. She can't remember the last time that she fought cautiously against like this. At this time, Smoothie was also fighting against Escanor and Makoto. Escanor is clashing against Smoothie and their attacks countless times, and just when Smoothie is about to hit Escanor, hundreds of cannonballs and bullets shoot at her. So she has to jump back. Makoto, who has a small smile on her face, is quite far away from them. She is using her mark fruit to hinder Smoothie when she is about to hit Escanor. This is a delicate stalemate that they are in here. But Makoto smiles a little as he opens a small case that has 10 bullets on the inside. She can feel a slight feeling of danger coming from the tip of the bullets. That is because the tips are coated in sea stone. This is her own strategy against devil fruits, especially since she doesn't have armament hockey yet. The battle between Perispero and Deidara on the other hand is going completely in Deidara's favor as he simply approaches Perispero and self-detonates. Just like he is currently doing, by using his explosions to maneuver himself midair, dodging Perispero's attacks, and when he gets close to him, boom! Deidara self-detonates, engulfing both him and Perispero in the explosion. Perispero jumps back and covers himself in candy armor, but he still gets slightly burned by the explosion. Deidara on the other hand is in the middle of the explosion with a malicious look and smile on his face. Katakuri versus Kakashi on the other hand was a battle of minds. Kakashi was using his observation hockey and strategizing every hit that he makes. Katakuri, on the other hand, is using his future sight to look into the future. So he imbues the tips of his fingers with hockey and shoots them like bullets. Kakashi never gets close to Katakuri. He has already learned that is dangerous to him. So a long-distance fight is more favorable for him. But while he is fighting, he is also counting something else. 7 seconds. Thinks Kakashi. He can look 7 seconds into the future, and after those 7 seconds, there is a split second where he will get his next future sight. That is when I will attack. Katakuri was breathing heavily too, as he had been injured by Jaw beforehand too. So he has to be careful to not aggravate his wounds. Fighting someone like Kakashi is a whole lot different than Kisame. One uses raw power, while the other uses tricks against his enemies. But while this was happening, countless other fights were happening in Whole Cake Island and the other islands around it. Jaw was using his full force and has an all-out attack happening. On the other hand, in the other parts of the New World, Kaido and the other Yonko got news of this. Immediately Kaido had only one idea inside his head. I will destroy Jaw's territory. Hiccup, says Kaido drunkenly. It's nothing personal to him, it's just that Jaw has shown a weak spot and it would be a fool's action to not take it. King! We are going to attack that stupid shark's territories. Let's gather up everyone. It doesn't take long to gather some of the main members of the Beast Pirates to gather some of their own. Jack, Queen, King, and some other members join in. They filled up a giant galleon ship with around 200 Beast Pirate members. They travel quite fast through the New World as they use some Sea Kings to pull their ship along. Kaido has a joyous look on his face as he thinks of the annoyance this will cause to Jaw. Worororo, what will you do now, you shark bastard? But at this time, in Jaw's York New Island there is a red-haired man in the docks. He is relaxing on the deck of his own ship. That is when a man comes and says, "As Sir Shanks, as Jaw-sama predicted. The Beast Pirates are gonna attack soon." Shanks opens his eyes and yawns a little. Kaido, you say? Well, Jaw did say that he would give me some islands that he has if I protect his territory in case of an attack from Kaido or the world government. Ben Beckman comes and with a smirk on his face, he says, "Well, Captain, I am surprised that you even accepted the offer." Shanks pouts as he hears that. He couldn't just ask as a friend or something? I would have done this for free. Ben Beckman smiles at this slightly. He might have thought that you would use this favor to get away from your alcohol tab. Shanks stomps on the ground annoyed when he hears this. I thought the same too. What they mean by that is that Jaw allows Shanks and his crew can go to any of the islands under Jaw's control and resupply. Jaw will pay for it as a token of their friendship. Shanks hasn't been polite about it, he has had feasts on every one of the islands he goes to. He even resupplies on the islands which are under Jaw's control. Some could say that he has been really impolite about it. He is like the scummy friend who leeches off the other friend. "Ah, this annoying," complains Shanks. "I won't be able to repay the tab even if I sold my right arm." Lucky Roo comes and laughs. "Wahaha, Captain, you think we can handle Kaido?" Shanks yawns when he hears that. Yeah, don't worry too much about it. I can hold back Kaido. Jaw didn't say that we have to defeat them. Just hold them back enough so they don't completely ravage his territory." While many things were happening around the New World, the government's 5 elders were in a meeting with Sengoku. The Jaw Pirates are at full war against the Big Mom Pirates. Damn, that happened too fast. A fight between the two of them must end at a stalemate at all costs. Or the winner will grow too strong, says one of the elders. And now the Beast Pirates are fighting against the Red Hair Pirates. This is a disaster. We must stop this war from erupting or the whole world will be engulfed in war. Damn that Jaw. He can call into other kingdoms to war. This is a foo asterisk head up situation, growled another elder. Sengoku blocks at this with a serious look on his face. Then, we should have Buster call, the meeting between Kaido and Shanks must be stopped. Maybe then we can think of something about Jaw and Big Mom. The world was moving along and this war between Jaw and Big Mom caused a ripple to resonate throughout the whole world. Chapter 65, Kisame joins the battle. Kisame, as he went outside of the castle. He closed his eyes and used observation haki to sense where the strongest enemies currently are. He senses that the strongest, Big Mom and Jaw, are fighting in the sky, above the clouds. As he senses his siblings and many others, he senses that some weaker voices are fighting against some stronger voices. He immediately goes towards it. A little bit later, by using Jeppo to kick off the air, Kisame arrives at a place where he sees Ichigo and some of the other siblings are fighting against a giant genie created by Daifuku and Oven. The siblings are having a hard time against them. That is when Kisame decides to crash the party by landing on the ground and creating a crack beneath him. Boom! He has a huge smile on his face as he lands in front of himself and looks at Oven and Daifuku. His siblings look at him with a happy look on their eyes. You wouldn't be happening to be bullying my cute younger siblings, would you? Because that pisses me off a little. Only I can bully my younger siblings. Daifuku has an angry look on his face as he asks. What happened to Cinnamon? Kisame only smiles at that. Don't worry, you will meet Cinnamon-chan soon. Oven narrows his eyes at this. He immediately heats up his body and charges at Kisame. The latter just punches the air towards Oven. Less than 10,000 Tao punch. But contrary to Kisame's expectation, nothing happens to Oven as he punches Kisame in the face. Bomb! Of course, before the hit touches Kisame, he has already covered his face in armament hockey. Kisame flies off and crashes into a tree, but he gets up immediately. He wasn't hurt at all, even though Oven's high-temperature punches should be a fishman's bane. As he hums, Kisame has a curious look on his face. Oh! I got it now. Because of your high heat around your body, the water can't transfer the shock to your body. The water turns to steam before even touching you. Kisame says that out loud and uses his observation hockey if Oven has any fluctuations in his feelings. So what I said is the truth. Well, since Fishman karate would be useless. Kisame imbues armament hockey in his fist, turning it completely dark. The giant genie summoned by Daifuku uses his halberd to try and hit Kisame. But the latter just disappears from his previous place by using Soru, and when he appears in front of Oven he swings his fist, putting all of his power behind it. Bomb! It hits Oven straight in the chin and he falls on the ground. He was knocked out by Kisame with a fast punch. Daifuku seems shocked at this and he has his genie go to protect his body, but Kisame has no plans of attacking Daifuku. He looks at Ichigo and smiles. Ichigo! Defeat him. Ichigo simply nods at this. Kisame doesn't have to say anymore. He understands that Kisame wants Ichigo to use Daifuku as a training dummy. Kisame sees this, so he just starts using Jeppo and flying away. He knows that Ichigo is in no danger at all. He has the other siblings having his back in case he is in a pinch. Katakuri and Kakashi are in a stalemate as neither one can injure the other. Kakashi also isn't someone who is willing to take a risk and attack Katakuri yet. Though Katakuri can't see the future for that split second, he can still use his observation hockey to sense the attack. But at this time Kisame appears and says, Well, hello there Katakuri. It's time for round 2. Kakashi sees this and yells out to Kisame, warning him. He can see in the future for around 7 seconds. Don't interfere or you will only get in the way. Kisame's mood immediately plummets when he hears this. You don't have to be so cruel, Kakashi. You already lost against him once. You will lose once more if you fight him right now. Also don't get closer to him, because if he uses you as a shield against my lightning then we will both be fu**ked. Caution Kakashi, he knows just how delicate this stalemate that he has with Katakuri is. Kisame smiles at this and assures Kakashi by saying, Don't worry. I know that. As he says that, Kakashi looks at Kisame for a split second and that is enough for Katakuri to shoot 20 beans imbued with hockey. Kakashi turns his body into lightning and dodges them. But Kisame appeared in front of the beans. He kicks away a dozen or so of them, but the others all hit his body. Some even in critical places. But Kisame has a smile at this as he gives Kakashi a thumbs up. Don't worry Kakashi. I can do this, trust me. Kakashi frowns for a split second. He doesn't exactly believe in useless things like hope, fate, or such dumb things. He would trust facts rather than fiction. But seeing his bullheaded brother acting like this, he just goes away. He will wait till Katakuri beats him, and then he can just throw Kisame away from the fight again. He looks up at the sky where his father and Big Mom are fighting in a stalemate. He wants to go and help, but he knows that he will only be in the way. BZZZT. So he just turns into lightning and goes towards his other siblings are fighting the Yonko commanders. Smoothie was a little annoyed as she fought Escanor and Makoto, who kept interrupting their fight and stopping her from putting the finishing move into the now blood-covered Escanor, who was breathing heavily and seemed to be barely standing. Makoto on the other hand was a little distressed too. She had used more than half of the Seastone tip bullets, but none had hit Smoothie as she easily blocked them. She was in clear distress, but she had no observation hockey, so she couldn't use her devil fruit to its top potential. Smoothie was on such a high alert against sneak attacks that even when Kakashi appears behind her and is about to shock her, she immediately swings her sword backward. Fwash! Kakashi immediately jumps back, but a small cut appears on his torso. But he immediately frowns as he can sense that a huge chunk of his strength is sucked away from him. Smoothie is no joke, as every single one of her hits is dangerous. That is the reason why Escaniper was defeated so quickly by her. Every slash she put on him sucked away his strength. Kakashi appears next to a bloody Escaner and pulls him away, putting him next to Makoto in the blink of an eye. He then goes back to fighting Smoothie. This time he blitzed her and he appeared behind her and grasped the behind of her head. Less than 200 million Vilt. BZZZZZZZZT. Ah! A thunderous scream comes out of Smoothie as she can feel the electricity running through her body. She has never in her life felt such a pain. Still, she isn't out of the fight, as even while in pain she swings her sword at Kakashi, who jumps back and easily dodges the slash. BZZZT. He disappears again and appears in front of Smoothie and touches her smooth belly. Less than 200 million Volt. BZZZZZZZT. The electric shock goes straight to her organs and critically injures them, but Smoothie swings her sword again. Though Kakashi dodges again, he doesn't do so completely, as he gets a small cut on his arm. He can once again feel a part of his stamina get sucked. But once again, he blitzes and appears behind Smoothie and touches her back. Less than 200 million Volt. BZZZZZZT. Once again, he attacks Smoothie's organs. He has a cold look in his eyes. He can clearly see that the giant Smoothie is quite resilient. This time she actually coughs blood as her kidneys shut down. She falls down on one knee, but she then uses armament hockey all over her body, turning her skin and clothes in shining dark color. But Kakashi just appears in front of her face and touches her cheek. BZZZZZZT. That was the final attack, as Smoothie falls on the ground unconscious. Bomb! Kakashi has a small smile on his face as this happens. Damn, she was definitely resilient. Guess her big body gave her a higher lightning tolerance. Chapter 66, Blinding Slash. As Kakashi knocks out Smoothie, he contemplates going for the kill for a split second before dismissing the idea. He just takes out his spear and cuts off Smoothie's limbs, leaving her knocked out, but now without limbs, so she no longer is a threat to even the weakest fishman on this island. This way, when we get some fruits in here, we can kill her, reasoned Kakashi. His thought process completely cold. The Big Mom pirates threatened his family. I will never be lenient to anyone who threatens my family. Anyway, I wonder who will get Smoothie's devil fruit. BZZZZT. He uses the heat generated from his electricity to burn the stumps of Smoothie's limbs so she doesn't die before they get a sack of fruits, then she can die. Kakashi casually does this as if he is just watering flowers. The way he is so casual about it is what makes him terrifying. He is scarier than Kisame because with him you at least know that there is a limit to his imagination. Kakashi is intelligent and creative. He can terrify even the bravest of men if they saw this. After that, Kakashi has his observation hockey active. With his devil fruit, he can hear any conversation going on Whole Cake Island. He can also sense every single person and their movements on the island. He can sense that Deidara has everything handled against Perispero and is winning. It's only a matter of time before he wins. But he at the same time hears a conversation and a woman who seems to be teleporting around the island, through mirrors. She also seems to be trapping some of his siblings. BZZZZT. He disappears in a flash. Brulee looks at the red-haired girl in front of her. She is someone troublesome who has the swamp fruit. A Logia which she is unable to hit because she can't use armament hockey yet. The red-haired girl is Jaw's second daughter, Urza, the user of the swamp fruit. While Brulee has trapped some of Jaw's children inside her mirror world. Urza too has trapped some of the Big Mom's children inside her swamp fruit. As Brulee was about to say something, Kakashi appears behind her and grabs her by the back of her head. 10 million Volt Bari. BZZZZT. Immediately Brulee is knocked out. Kakashi doesn't waste any time as he calls out to Urza. We need to find a mirror and then I can take Brulee with me to enter the mirror world, that way I can free all of our siblings. Due to Kakashi's good memory, he can remember the entry about the mirror fruit in the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia, and the notes his father put in about the fruit. He will use that knowledge to save his siblings, having to put himself out of the battle. While Kakashi was doing that, the battle between Kisame and Katakuri is going on a little differently. Katakuri charges at Kisame for the dozenth time. Kisame uses kami-e, paper art, to move his body in such strange ways that together with his observation haki allows him to dodge some of Katakuri's more lethal hits. Katakuri uses his trident, rotating it and trying to hit Kisame, who dodged all of the attacks perfectly. As Kisame jumps back, he uses his leg to throw a couple of wind slashes by using Ryankyaku. Katakuri just turns his body to machi at the place where the attacks will hit. Buff as Kisame is midair, Katakuri clocks his fist backward and infuses it with haki. The fist enlarges a little and reddens. Burning machi. Pew! Katakuri shoots his fist like a rocket. Kisame covers his arms in haki up to his elbows and crosses them at where the attack will hit. Bomb! The attack hits and crashes Kisame through a dozen trees before Kisame sinks his feet on the ground and stops himself from flying away by the attack. Katakuri frowns at this, as they have been fighting. He has confirmed his suspicion that he had during the last moments of when they fought for the first time. Kisame can actually predict and dodge his attacks. So, it seems like you have started seeing the future too, commented Katakuri as he looks at Kisame with newfound respect. As I suspected, you could do so ever since the last moments during our first fight. Kisame smiles at this as his arms are covered in armament haki past his elbows. Yep, I was surprised when I could first do so. I now understand that I must have a constantly calm mind to use something like this. I am not used to having a clear and calm mind during battle. But I am learning. Katakuri nods at this, but they both know that comparing Katakuri's and Kisame's future vision, they are on completely different levels. While Katakuri can see 7 seconds in the future, Kisame can't see even a full second into it. But at the same time, Kisame's durability was crazy as most of Katakuri's attacks didn't even faze him. At the same time, in the sky, above the clouds, Big Mom has surrounded herself in fire as she has noticed that the fire can hurt Jaw when he gets close to her. So Prometheus has surrounded her like a fire cloak, while she is standing on Zeus, who shoots lightning every now and then at Jaw. Napoleon on the other hand was covered in flames too. She has also been using the fire to forcefully burn shut every wound that she gets from Jaw. Jaw on the other hand is only breathing a little hard, but he isn't truly tired. It's simply that they have been fighting for quite a bit and the heat has increased. If he was at sea, he could just use the water to turn off the fire. But right now, he wants to see how good he fares against a Yonko even when he is not at sea. He is pretty much in a stalemate with Big Mom. He can hurt her, but she will burn her wound shut. She can hurt him too, but way less than he can hurt her because Jaw avoids most of Big Mom's attack. So he only has some small burns along his body, nothing too serious. But while Big Mom can handle his attacks, he has to be more careful than her. Because one attack from her hitting him would be a critical injury, instead of just a scar, like when he hits Big Mom. Big Mom then uses Prometheus to spew some fire at Jaw, but he isn't at all scared at the fire as he just casually cuts the fire. He then sees that hitting Big Mom like that would not have any effect short term, so he just looks at her in the eyes and smirks slightly. He then lets the lightning from his sword run through his body, increasing his reflexes, strength, and speed. As soon as he can feel the lightning running through his body, he fully charges Big Mom, using Jeppo and Soru at the same time allowing him fast 3D movement. This move is called Razor Blade. As he does so, he dodges Big Mom's initial slash easily by using his future vision, and gets close to her even though he can feel the fire lick his skin as he has concentrated all of his haki in his sword, turning it dark. Lightning sword style, blinding heaven slash. Fwash! His sword slashes at Big Mom's eyes, but Big Mom isn't bothered by this as she extends her hand to grab Jaw. But he uses his newfound temporary speed to slash at Big Mom's hands, covering them in wounds, as he jumps back. He has a smile on his face as he sees Big Mom's eyes, who are closed and are seemingly crying blood. Chapter 67, Interference. As he slashed Big Mom's eyes, Jaw can't help but rejoice a little. Big Mom is a person who is naturally prone to anger. This makes her lose her ability to use observation haki quite a lot. Her rage makes her worse than an animal in the usage of observation. She can't be calm and now with her lost vision. She can't really pinpoint where Jaw is, as Jaw hides his presence and attacks Big Mom from behind her. Fwish! Hundreds of lightning-quick hits land on her back and Jaw smirks slightly at this. Blood spews out of Big Mom like a fountain. screeches Big Mom loudly, her conqueror's hockey flowing out of her. But Jaw isn't worried about none of this as he attacks Big Mom again. But as he is about to do so, he gets a vision of the future that will happen in the next 6 seconds. A giant magma fist will devour him and Big Mom. Jaw immediately turns around and sees that a giant magma fist is coming towards him. He has a calm look on his face, and his mind calculates what could have brought such a response from the Marines. I see, so the Marines finally caught wind of this and interfered. Welp, killing Big Mom now wouldn't be beneficial for me and would only help the Marines. But if they want to fight me, I will show them that it isn't such a good idea to do so. Mused Jaw as he saw that Big Mom was now throwing Ikaku's sovereignty at him, creating a huge blast towards him. So she is now moderately calm enough to at least be able to sense my location. He dodges the sword blast from Big Mom and sees that the blast and the giant magma fist were going to collide. Bomb! They clashed and the sword blast easily overpowered the magma fist, shattering it to a million pieces. Jaw, on the other hand, is a little surprised by the nice coincidence. Well, I guess I better finish this here. I wanted to get Big Mom's soul fruit for one of my kids. But it seems like that day won't be today. Contemplated Jaw, he knows that continuing any longer would get both him and Big Mom dead. So he will just leave Big Mom behind, and that then becomes a win-win situation for him. If they leave Big Mom alive, then he can later come and take her fruit by killing her. If they kill Big Mom, then he will just take over her territory. The Marines can't do anything in the New World, this is the place where the Yonko rule the seas. So Jaw just uses Jeppo to fly off, and he takes a deep breath and yells out, "Children! Retreat!" His scream vibrates all through the island and everyone can hear it. His children and Fishman crew immediately start retreating, even Kisame, who is usually very headstrong, listens to his father and retreats, leaving his fight against Katakuri unfinished, and even Katakuri is no longer interested in Kisame as he heard Big Mom's scream of pain when her eyes were slashed. Not even a minute later, huge explosions sound out as Marine battleships start bombing Whole Cake Island. Jaw just takes his children and Smoothie, which now has all of her limbs cut off. They all start retreating to the depths of the sea, the non-devil fruit user siblings carrying the ones who have a devil fruit underwater. Of course, the escape couldn't be so easy as the water starts to freeze. But as it does so, boom! 2 Marine battleships are cut in half. Jaw is midair with his sword in his hand as he cuts the ships, and he looks at the perpetrator. Akiji, he is touching the seawater as he looks at Jaw. He clearly gets the message. If he tries to freeze the ocean anymore, Jaw will start hunting the Marines. The Marines aren't here to exactly pick up a fight with Jaw, so they stop their attack against his children and start attacking Whole Cake Island. 1 hour later, and the whole Jaw crew and Jaw's children are far away from the battlefield. Jaw is swimming alongside his children as he looks at Kakashi, who is being carried by Kisame on his back. Good job on catching someone like her, congratulates Jaw, while pointing at Smoothie, who now has a bubble over her head. We can use such a devil fruit like hers. Kakashi opens his mouth and speaks a little tiredly by saying, "No problem, Dad. So did you beat Big Mom?" Jaw nods his head. "Yep, absolute defeat for her. I even took away her vision." Kisame smiles at this. "Cool. That means that Big Mom will lose her Yonko status then, and we will take over her territory." Jaw smirks at this, but he shakes his head. "If it was only that easy. The world government will never allow me to even grow beyond a certain point. They know that they can't hold territory in the New World, because the resources required to keep it would be tremendous on their part. They can't exactly start recruiting pirates to hold their territories like some Yonko can. They have the warlords of the sea, but they know that trusting any of them is a huge mistake. I mean, Jinbe here wouldn't give a second thought to the world government's call if I ordered him to, wouldn't you, Jinbe?" As Jaw says that, he gives a side glance to Jinbe, who is swimming alongside him. Jinbe just nods at this. He knows better than to say anything in front of Jaw. Kakashi has a curious look, especially since he can't swim underwater. He has had a long time to think about the recent battle. "So, how do you think this war will end, like father?" asks Kakashi, expressing his usual curiosity in this situation. A mysterious smile appears on Jaw's face as he hears the question. "How do you think it will end, Kakashi?" "I think that the war will continue, and in the end, Big Mom will be destroyed. So after that, either another Yonko will appear to replace Big Mom, or the rest of the Emperors of the Sea will rip apart Big Mom's territories. estimated Kakashi while looking at his father in affirmation if this is the correct answer or not. Jaw looks at Kakashi with amusement. He had a look in his eyes that said that he knows something that Kakashi doesn't. Well, that is a solid possibility. But me and Big Mom will most likely end up in a ceasefire again. Or even alliance if push comes to shove. I did kill a bunch of her children. But this is war, she knows that people die. Plus she doesn't necessarily care for her kids. She is the cruelest to her children. Families are not as our family is. Also, you forgot to take into calculation outside forces like the world government or other Yonko who don't want me to grow stronger. Kakashi frowns at this. He still can't see how this will come to be. They went and humiliated Big Mom. He just can't comprehend how someone like Big Mom would decide that. He once again looks at his father's eyes. Jaw like always has that reassuring smile on his face. Dad must have seen something that I can't see. I don't know how this would be possible, but if it's Dad, then he should be able to do it. Contemplates Kakashi as he goes back to planning on what his father is thinking and how he can predict something like that. Jaw on the other hand is thinking something completely different. Also Kakashi, you forgot to calculate the influence I have in the world and I will have. Big Mom, she doesn't really have any choice. If she survives this marine attack, which she likely will. After that, the new world will start to become my playground. Chapter 68, Aftermath. After the battle with Big Mom, a whole year passes and many different things take place during this time. The prominent one is one of the emperors. The monster Jaw has expanded his territory quite a bit, and he also gave some islands on the outskirts of the new world to the new emperor of the sea. Red-haired Shanks. Jaw's territories are now all connected and his trade of raw materials and weapons with the rest of the world is good as always. As Jaw had predicted, his relationship with Big Mom didn't go as bad as other people suspected. Though the Marines did react to their war, they didn't kill Big Mom after Jaw left the battle. Also, Big Mom only lost one eye in her battle against Jaw, as after extensive hours of the best medical attention, she was able to save one of her eyes. Though Big Mom and Jaw did arrange to marry two of their children together in the future. Jaw wasn't very polite about taking territory from Big Mom. He took half of her territory. Now Big Mom has the smallest amount of territory amongst the emperors, even slightly smaller than all of Shank's combined territories. But that wasn't all, as the new world once again erupted into chaos as Kaido like a wild beast fought with Big Mom out of nowhere. Of course, the fight ended in a draw, as it was interrupted by Marines once again. But due to those events, many pirate crews started leading the Big Mom pirates, once again weakening Big Mom and making her the weakest emperor militarily wise too. The Marines have also tried their hand at stabilizing the new world and trying to build some new bases in there. It went horribly wrong, as Kaido, Big Mom, Whitebeard, and Jaw didn't allow any to appear in here. Shanks didn't care about any of this as he was just going on voyages with his crew and protecting his territories. Still, the world government has tried to slow Jaw's growth as they have started seeing his ambition. Though they are still trading partners, their relationship is frosty now. Jaw's influence has grown too much for them to feel comfortable. Their CP0, Aegis, did try to incite a war between Jaw and Kaido. They wanted to see them weaken each other. But contrary to their expectations, Kaido discovered this plot, and just because he saw that the world government wanted that, he didn't do it. Contrary to that, their relationship even improved as different items made out of sea stone are traded with devil fruits and many other things, between Jaw and Kaido. This that past has been called the Year of Emperors, due to the many fights going on between them themselves and then against the world government. Many events happened over the rest of the world, like a certain dead Cutty Flam returning back to Water 7. Or a certain girl with forbidden knowledge getting recruited in a secret organization. Jaw was currently in the Wano capital. He is with Kaido and they are both drinking. Well, Kaido is drinking sake while Jaw is drinking green tea. No one, except their most trusted people, knew of this happening. Warararara. Laughed Kaido loudly. Jaw, the Zoan devil fruits that you have brought me are truly amazing. Kaido is obviously drunk, and he friendly slaps Jaw on the back. Any normal person would have had his bones crushed, but Jaw is completely still like a statue. Yeah, you already told me that, Kaido. Says Jaw. He doesn't necessarily care about some compliments from Kaido. But he looks at Kaido once again and continues. Don't forget the promise that you made me. When you decide to kill Orochi, remember to give me the Hydra Devil Fruit. Kaido has a smile on his face as he looks at Jaw. Wararara. Jaw, you should relax some more. I told you that I will give it to you. I gave you my word, the whole world could come and fight me about it. But I would still give you the fruit. Jaw nods at this as he gives Kaido a side glance, or more specifically, he is looking at Kaido's countless scars around his body. All of them inflicted by Jaw during their fights, except the one inflicted by Odin, that is. But most people assume that Scar 2 was caused by Jaw too. Still, Jaw only narrows his eyes and says, "Is CP0 still trying to scheme you into fighting me? Nah, they are too scared to do anything like that. I will slaughter them if they try sh*t like that again." Hiccup, exclaims Kaido as he wobbles a little due to drinking too much. Jaw smiles a little. He knows that if he attacked right now he could kill Kaido, but he won't attack. It won't be beneficial for him to kill Kaido right now. He would in a sense bite more than he could chew if he did that, because then he won't be able to control and manage his new territory. So in the end, Jaw just takes a sip of his own home-bought green tea. The chance of getting poisoned is too high, so he isn't going to eat anything from here. This was the truth that the world didn't know. Kaido and Jaw didn't have a necessarily bad relationship. The world government made it seem like Jaw attacked Kaido's territories to make them fight each other. But one call later and they resolved the problem, and they have worked together against the world government ever since then. Of course, their alliance is a secret, and very unstable. Because they are pirates, neither of them would be surprised if they were betrayed by the other. Later on, Jaw returns to his main island, which hasn't changed that much. Well, even he himself hasn't gotten any stronger by that much. He had plans to use the smoothie fruit in a sword or something like that, to allow him to steal someone's life force or stamina by stabbing them and giving it to himself. Sadly, that couldn't be done by the scientists that he has available to him. The best they could do was that the sword would absorb the life force of anything that touches it. Even the user of the sword would get its life force absorbed. Since such a good fruit like this shouldn't go to waste, Jaw planned to give this to Naruto once he returns from his 3-year training now. He has been training in the place where Luffy would train for 2 years before he crossed to the other side of the Grand Line. The island is full of dangerous animals and has been under Jaw's control for quite a while now. It is the place where only Kakashi, Kisame, and Escanor have survived on the island. One must defeat every single strong animal on there and become the strongest creature on the island. Whether one achieves that by trickery or raw power, it doesn't matter. But once someone accomplishes that, and they persevere through the trial and don't need to call their father to come and pick them up. Mikoto did that. This was before she got her devil fruit. After they complete this trial, then they can have an official position within their father's crew. Surprisingly, Naruto cleared it before Ichigo, who was the one that was expected to clear it next. Though Naruto took 3 years to clear the trial, while Kisame took 2 weeks and Kakashi a month, Escanor took half a year. But completing it is still completing it, so it doesn't matter how long it takes. When Jaw got the news of Naruto returning, he was a little surprised and at the same time relieved. But when he enters where Naruto and the rest of the siblings are spending some time together, Naruto notices Jaw immediately, showing that he has learned observation haki. He looks at his father, and before Jaw can offer him a devil fruit, Naruto happily calls out, "Dad, now I have a devil fruit. It's super cool." That immediately shatters Jaw's plans of Naruto having the smoothie fruit. Chapter 69, Love. Jaw would normally be mad at this, but he isn't necessarily surprised. Naruto eating a fruit he knows nothing about sounds like something he would do. Also, he can just give this fruit to another one of his kids. It's no big deal to him. Hope that Naruto at least got a good fruit. Ponders Jaw. He isn't going to cry over spilled milk. He already has a dozen other candidates that he can give this devil fruit to. "So Naruto, what is your devil fruit then?" asks Jaw, with his face now going back to a smile again. Naruto smiles and does a pose before loudly announcing, "My devil fruit is the strongest out there, and it is the zipper fruit." As he says that, he drags a finger along one of his arms and a zipper appears along it, and Naruto unzips his arm, and it falls on the ground. Where the arm was detached from is just a dark space. "Tada!" exclaimed Naruto. Jaw and everyone else just looks at Naruto with unimpressed eyes. Kakashi jests close to him and kicks Naruto's detached arm. "Ow!" winces Naruto a little as he does that. Kakashi just looks at Naruto. "So you feel pain from your detached arm, can you move it?" Naruto smirks at this with pride and says, "No." Kakashi uses the spear on his hand, and by using a little haki on it he hits Naruto with its dull side. Bam! Don't look so proud when you say something like that, scolded Kakashi. Ow, 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 moaned Naruto in pain as he rolled on the ground. Kakashi, you gray-haired sh*t. That hurts you, old man hair, piece of sh*t brother. That strikes a nerve within Kakashi and he goes to hit Naruto once more with the dull part of his spear. But Naruto smiles as he gets up immediately and uses Sora to flash past Kakashi. Fwash! And an arm flies in the air, more specifically Kakashi's arm, as it has a zipper in it. Naruto smiles at that as Kakashi's arm falls on the ground. All of the siblings look at Naruto with an impressed look in their eyes. But Kakashi doesn't seem bothered by this at all as he turns his separated arm into lightning which gathers back to his stump, forming his arm back again. Naruto stops in the middle of doing his pose as he notices this. Kakashi, you really just have to ruin everything. I even had this whole cool segment about Dash. So your fruit is pretty much useless against Logias, says Kakashi, interrupting Naruto's explanation, which pisses off Naruto even more. Shut the hell up, Kakashi, yells Naruto in annoyance. You love the way your voice sounds too much, you gray-haired old man. At the mention of his gray hair, Kakashi is immediately annoyed too. Shut up, Naruto. I was gonna make some speculations on your devil fruit. You have me here. Why would you make speculations when we can prove the things in here? Jaw and his children just look at the amusing fight between Kakashi and Naruto. My fruit can pass through any defense, announces Naruto as he turns back to look at his siblings and father. Even Sea Stone? Mockingly asks Kakashi, already knowing the answer. Kakashi, stop ruining the moment and nitpick at everything. Let me explain first, it's really simple to understand, yells Naruto in anger. Kakashi shrugs at this. I am not saying that your logic isn't simple, I am just saying that it's wrong. Holy sh*t Kakashi, I haven't seen you in 3 years and you are already pissing me off. Why? Is it because during your time with animals you finally found creatures in the same intelligence level? Speculates Kakashi with a truly confused look on his face. Half an hour later and Naruto is completely winded out by Kakashi's teasing and annoying personality. Jaw and his children are now eating dinner as his throne room has now been filled with tables and food. Hundreds of children are all around playing and eating. Jaw has temporarily stopped creating kids, so there are no mothers around to take care of the youngsters. Jaw sits at his throne with a table in front of him eating, Naruto is next to him. He has a joyful smile on his face. Kakashi is showing the younger kids small animated animals made out of lighting. His control over his devil fruit is simply phenomenal as even when a child catches the lightning lion or any other animal, it only has enough electricity on it to make the child's hair stand up. Make a dragon, Kakashi, says one of the kids. He has dark hair and eyes, he is Sasuke, Itachi's brother from the same father and mother. Though he has never met Itachi due to being born after Itachi was gone. During this time Itachi was curious in his marine ship, his clones were managing everything. Though he was only 14 years old, his body was like that of a 20-year-old and leanly muscular. He was in his bed and has a blue-haired woman in his arms. She opens her eyes and looks at Itachi's contemplating face. What is wrong, Itachi? Asks the woman. She is Ain, and she is currently in a relationship with Itachi. In the beginning, Itachi only went on a couple of dates with her, but now this has developed beyond simple lust for each other. Ain, have I ever told you of my father? Itachi has a dull look in his eyes as he asks that. He already knows the answer to the question that he asked. Ain seems confused by the question. But in the end, she still answers. No, but you don't need to tell me anything about it if it's too much. I have never asked about your past, if have some secret, I know that you tell me about it eventually. I trust you, Itachi. Itachi nods at that. Ain smiles sweetly at that. She knows that Itachi was abandoned in Gray Terminal on East Blue. She leans her naked body closer to Itachi. Ain, I love you, suddenly says Itachi. This causes Ain to blush. She can hear the conviction that Itachi has behind those words. It's no longer just him saying them. Ain smiles at that. I love you too, Itachi. I see. Itachi winces a little. His heart is full of heaviness, he doesn't know what to do now. He has found someone else than his family that he loves. This is strange to him, extremely strange. But at the same time scary, he hasn't told his father anything about this. He is unsure of how his father would react to this. Itachi suddenly wants to ask Ain if she would run away with him. But as his mouth opens up, no sound comes out. He knows how silly this is. He is only 14 and his father told him that in a man's life, only 3 great women will appear. So, after Ain, there will be 2 more. Contemplates Itachi, he deep knows that isn't necessarily true. But he now knows just how naive he was back then. He never thought that he would develop feelings like this. A couple of minutes later both of them put on their clothes and go to the deck of the ship. They look at the ocean around them and feel the wind brushing their skin. Hopefully it stays sunny today, says Ain. She knows just how strange the weather can be and the Grand Line can be. Fwish! But suddenly out of nowhere, she feels something pierce the back of her skull as her world goes dark. Itachi has a rapier on his hand, the one that he used to pierce Ain's brain. Ain starts falling and he catches her in a princess carry and brings her back to his bed. Sorry Ain, you just chose the worst possible person to be with. You were with me for my looks, at least initially. You will never be like family. Who would be with me no matter what? Contemplates Itachi, as he goes towards the food storage in the ship and sees that one of the apples had strange ripples around it. This fruit shall give my family immortality. Thank you for trusting me Ain, it's just that you weren't that important to me. When I decided to kill you I saw something that we both were in love simply for outlust. You were beautiful and I loved you for that, that is all there is to it. Says Itachi out loud, as with a heavy sigh he puts the fruit in his pocket, planning to give it to Kisame the next time they meet. Chapter 70, World Government. While Itachi did that deed, he already had the excuses prepared. Marines die every day. A lot of people in high places, Sengoku, Zephyr, etc., knew of Itachi's relationship with Ain. They would never expect that he himself killed her. At this time, in Mary Geo's, the 5 elders were meeting. Sengoku wasn't there physically, but he was in a transponder snail call from Marineford. Jaw, again, says the bald elder with a sword. They have had dozens of meetings just about Jaw during these couple of months. That man is dangerous. He should be exterminated, as should his whole family, suggests the elder with the thick mustache. The other elders nod in agreement at this. They all hate Jaw but still have to put up with him due to his usefulness at mining the resources at the bottom of the sea. Jaw even sells them at the best price. It isn't that easy, exclaims the elder with the long beard and dignified appearance. Jaw and his base are impenetrable. Khalifa has been giving some information that implies that Jaw is looking out for spies. Thankfully we put Khalifa as a spy a long time ago. The elder with the big mustache speaks again. That didn't do us any good. I think that Jaw might be suspicious of Khalifa. The information that she has been giving us is usually outdated and some is straight out wrong. She has voiced concern that Jaw might be intentionally giving out wrong information to rat out any spy, so Khalifa has gone deep undercover now and won't be contacting us for 2 years straight. The other elders frown once they hear this. Jaw is someone who has become the most dangerous pirate to the world government during these last years. Especially this last year, as his family grew stronger and even his territories grew exponentially. He also made Shanks an emperor of the sea. They have mixed feelings about that. What should we do about this then? Asks Sengoku as his voice comes through the transponder snail. The elder with the blonde hair and facial is the one who answers that question. We should hit at his foundation first. We should start by interrupting his resource trade with the countries outside of the Grand Line. That gives him just too much power. Remember what King Taco said during the last Reverie meeting. Then maybe we try to convince King Neptune to take over the undersea resource mining. I am sure that if we give him a seat in the Reverie, then he will accept. Impossible! Exclaimed Sengoku. Neptune and Jaw have an arranged marriage amongst their children. The Fishman royal family and Jaw's family are one and the same now. It's impossible to try and separate them now. Hums the long white-bearded dignified-looking elder. Then, even if that doesn't work, we simply still go on with our plan. Jaw's relationship with the countries that attend the Reverie must be separated at all costs. The other elders nod at this and even Sengoku agrees verbally. I understand. I will prepare for the admirals to be sent out. They know that anything less, and they're just sending men to die. Jaw is an emperor of the sea, so only admirals can deal with him. But sending out more than one admirals isn't quite that simple. There must be a process to this. Garp must first return to the Marine headquarters and order there is an attack. So then Garp, Sengoku, and another admiral will be there as a defense. Under that lineup, any Yonko could come to attack and it wouldn't leave Marineford alive. Just like this, 2 more months pass, and that is when during one of the shipments to a country Jaw gets the news that it was destroyed. Jaw is currently on his island just looking at the transponder snail in front of him with a dull look in his eyes. He obviously never had all of his deals at once, instead, he had them throughout the year. So even if one shipment is destroyed, it's nothing too big. Jaw already knows who it was, even though the shipment has been destroyed and everyone involved in it is dead. There have also been no signs of who it was. Of course, there is the possibility of a rookie pirate over his head, thinking that he can take on an emperor of the sea. But rookie pirates aren't this clean on their job. Neither was it any of the Yonko. Jaw has good relations with Kaido, Whitebeard, and Shanks. Big Mom and Jaw have an arranged marriage between their children and have a semi-alliance going on. So that only leaves one other factor in this little equation. Concludes Jaw. The world government has finally seen me as too dangerous to let grow anymore. Jaw contemplates colluding with Kaido to attack the world government. The crazy beast would probably be up for it. Jaw just needs to get him a little drunk and Kaido will agree to it. Why do I feel like I am planning on having my way with a drunk girl? Contemplates Jaw, but as he imagines Kaido as a woman, a shiver runs down his spine. Delete! I need to stop my mind from wandering like this. Thinks Jaw as he puts these thoughts to the back of his mind. Creating an official alliance with Kaido would only make the world government take even worse countermeasures against him. They would go into a fight or flight mode. Because while 1 or 2 emperors of the sea banding together, that is still detestable by the world government. But as soon as a third one joins, then that becomes a critical situation, as 3 emperors and their crews are beyond dangerous. Well, they think they can outsmart me, we will see about that. Ponders Jaw. In his mind, he is already thinking of countermeasures against this situation. 1 more month passes like this, 3 more shipments are destroyed again. Just like last time, there were no clues on the scenes of the attacks. Due to these events happening, some of the countries started distancing themselves from Jaw. But Jaw sends another shipment. This is a reimbursement about their losses and the countries don't have to pay anything. Of course, as they see, every country starts thinking that if their ships suddenly disappear too, then Jaw would send reimbursement too. So they get double for the price of one. Currently, in a marine ship, there are 2 taller than average men. One of them is wearing a red suit and the other is wearing a blue one. They are the 2 marine admirals, Akiji and Akainu. They see the 3 ships flying Jaw's flag and Akiji jumps towards the water. But unlike other devil fruit users, water isn't a weakness to him. As soon as he touches the water, it immediately freezes at around 2 kilometers, making a platform for himself and any soldiers who might land on it. Akainu jumps down and his fists turn into magma as he points them at the ships. Twin lava dragons. Immediately 2 giant dragons made of lava are created and go towards the ships. But before they can reach them, boom! A huge tsunami of water explodes from under the ice and covers the magma dragons in water, immediately destroying them and turning them into obsidian, losing their velocity too and falling into the ice. Out of the hole in the ice from where the sudden tsunami came from, a figure comes out of it. Akainu and Akiji only narrow their eyes at this, neither saying anything as they recognize the fishman in front of them. Well, if it isn't my 2 least favorite admirals. What brings you all this way, gentlemen? Not anything bad, I hope. Grin Jaw, his shark-like teeth shining as his smile turns malicious. I wish you some good luck, dear admirals, you will need it. As soon as Jaw finishes saying that, a huge explosion rings out. Boom! As the marine ships that escorted Akainu and Akiji here got sunk. Both of the admirals were nonchalant to this. They both know better than to take their eyes off the man in front of them. Chapter 71, Floating Away. Jaw POV. I look at the 2 admirals standing in front of me. I can see Akainu's arms turn to magma and Akiji's body releases cold steam. I know for a fact that I can't win against them, it's as simple as that. No Yonko can fight 2 admirals, especially Akainu. He has the single most dangerous devil fruit. One direct hit from it and I am done. The magma fruit has the highest attack power of any fruit that I know of. Akiji on the other hand has his ice fruit, a fruit which will make any of my water attacks useless as he freezes them all. So the situation is very dire for me. If it was one-on-one, I could defeat either of them when on the sea. Akainu, I doubt I could defeat him on land, but on sea, that is another story. The world government is not dumb, they knew that sending one admiral isn't enough. So instead they sent two, which is kind of an overkill move, but whatever. I could have my children like Kakashi and Kisame try and hold back an admiral. But that is unnecessary, putting my children in danger like that. A little risk is okay, like them fighting against Katakuri, but both Akainu and Akiji have dangerous abilities that could kill them. You aren't gonna start attacking now? Asks Akainu with a slightly mocking tone to his voice as he looks at me trying to goad me to attack. You scared little shark? I smile back at Akainu. How dumb does he think I am? I ain't fighting today. I am just buying time for a couple of minutes. What about you, dog? You finally got the world government's D*K out of your mouth? I inquire and can see that even as I say that I can see Akiji smirk a little at his comrade getting insulted. Akainu on the other hand only has a cold expression on his face. You seem to be biding your time? Wonder why that is, little shark. He again calls me a little shark as if I would get insulted by it. When in reality I don't care. To me, caring about what your enemies say about you is unimportant. They can insult me as much as they want. Become words are just air that will flow into the wind and nothing will become of it. Of course, if they try to ruin my reputation or something like that, then I would interfere. That reputation is useful to me. Still, you will never hear the Marines speak well about pirates, so no matter what they say about me it will just be seen as lies by the other pirates. Also yes, I am biding my time. I tell Akainu, I even smile at him mockingly. Whitebeard will be coming here, so it will be you two against the Jaws and Whitebeard pirates. That is why I wished you luck. You will definitely need it. As they hear this, both of the admirals' eyes twitch for a split second. Whitebeard coming here will pretty much sentence the two admirals to death. They won't even be able to escape underwater or anything like that, as I am here too. Unlike the other emperors of the sea, who are mostly indifferent to each other. I have a moderately good relationship with all of them. We aren't enemies at least, and if war came about, I know that if I called on them, Whitebeard would have a 50% chance of showing up, Shanks has a 70%, Kaido a 60%, and Big Mom has around a 2% chance to show up. Maybe Big Mom will be an enemy even if she shows up. I can't wait till my children grow up so we can marry the children that we have arranged to marry. Then that way, Big Mom will probably show up to help me in case of a war. Now pirates don't do politics, but I do. I am not gonna limit myself to just the stereotype pirate just because someone calls me a pirate. I will do what I want and how I want it. Of course, this time I actually called Whitebeard for a feast as a celebration between our families. But still, none of the sides need to know that I plan to use Whitebeard as a threat. The admirals know of what I can do. So they just turn around. We will be seeing each other again one day, Jaw, when that day comes. Warns Akainu maliciously. Leaving by saying that as he and Akiji just walk away on the sea. I smirk at that and clench my fist and punch the ice below me. Boom! A huge explosion rings out as this happens and cracks spread all around, breaking the ice completely. For 2 kilometers wide, and only the ice the admirals were walking on wasn't broken. No battle would be fought today. Also, I never fight in a losing battle. It seems like I must send a clear message to the world government. Maybe going to the first half of the Grand Line and destroying some marine bases? No, I guess just killing a couple celestial dragons would do. Since my confrontation with the admirals, 1 year passes, and currently, I am on a flying ship. Chasing after a certain golden lion, I finally have the time for it. By killing 2 celestial dragons, and openly torturing them in front of the whole Sabati archipelago. I tortured them for 20 minutes straight and carved out a warning in their bodies to the world government. That served as a warning to them all. Fu*K around one more time with me and no celestial dragon will ever dare set foot outside of Mary Geos. Since then, the Marines and the world government stopped confronting me. They learned the hard way that I am the one who has the advantage. They can't swim underwater in a world made of 95% water. I can imprison them all in their little islands. Anyway, currently, I am in a flying ship manipulated by Makoto. She is going towards her target. By that, it just means that we are gonna finally go and kill Shiki, take his fruit and give it to one of my children. General POV. Shiki was simply reading a newspaper about the recent events in the world and he couldn't help but wince at that. He could see many different articles dedicated to Jaw and his children. Jaw, that guy will be troublesome. But it doesn't matter, as when my plan falls into place I will finally be able to get rid of him. Reasoned Shiki. He put a hand over his stomach at where Jaw used his sea stone coin to immobilize him. As Shiki was in deep thoughts, suddenly a large explosion rings out. Boom! A giant ship breaks through the roof of his castle. Shiki is immediately alerted and is about to react. He is already in full fight mode as Jaw and him clash weapons. Shiki with his leg swords and Jaw his real sword. BZZZZT. But an electric sound was all that Shiki could hear before a spear. The tip is coated with sea stone as it pierces him from his back. This immobilizes him and Jaw grabs Shiki's skull and twists his head, breaking his neck, instantly killing him. Chapter 72, Float Float Fruit. I might not be as strong as Big Mom or Kaido physically, but to someone like Shiki, I can snap him like a twig once I get a hold of him. I wrap my hand around his face and just twist it. It breaks like a twig and I kill him. This time, due to Kakashi's help, I can dispose of Roger's rival like he is nothing. Well, Roger never really saw Shiki as a rival. I mean, I was in his crew for quite some time, but Roger not even once said something remotely close to Shiki being his rival. He did say that Whitebeard was pretty strong, but he never said anything about Shiki. Still, I can feel the island start to fall and I call over Kakashi and say, "Go and look at the bag of fruits and see if this fruit reincarnated in there, or do we have to do a quick search through the island if it reincarnated in there?" Kakashi nods at that and in a blue flash he disappears. Exactly 4 seconds later he appears and says, "Yes, Dad, it got reincarnated. It's the same float float fruit from the encyclopedia." I nod at that and smirk as I jump back on the ship, which then floats off again and it follows the bird. Mikoto is a miracle worker with her fruit now. Fwash! I jump on the ship as it flies. I give a split-second look to the island falling and all of the people that it has inside it. They won't survive the 10,000-meter fall. They are no Kaido. But that doesn't matter. I look at Kakashi and my children. I smile at them and yell out loud, "Hell yeah! We did it! We will get another strong person in our crew." Jajajajajaja. It takes a couple of minutes for me and Kisame to stop our celebration as we dance around. We tried to drag in Kakashi to dance with us, but he is such a buzzkill. So I look at the yellow fruit in my hand with strange ripples all around it. The smile on my face can't be turned off and I look at one of my children who is on the back. He has red hair and his eyes are covered by his hair. He has almost no presence to him and he is quiet. "Nagato! You just got yourself a new devil fruit." I call out to him. Jajajaja. Kisame and I start dancing silly again. "Kiki Kiki, this is amazing," laughs Kisame as he grabs some of his siblings on his shoulders in joy and spins them around. I then use Haki to grab Kakashi with an iron grip on his shoulder and put his arm behind my neck. "Kakashi, this is a joyous occasion, so rejoice. We now have another person with such an amazing fruit in our crew. We will dominate this world now. When the war that will engulf the whole world comes, we will be able to protect our loved ones." Kakashi hides his smile as I say that. In the end, he just smiles and says, "Screw it. Oi! Urza, play some music dial for us. Turn on Bink Sake. Do it yourself *TCH. Complained Urza. "I ain't your maid, gray hair. ***. Naruto can't hold in his laughter once he hears that. He secretly high-fives Urza. "Come on now, Urza, don't have him do that. Do you see his hair? He can barely walk and his knees hurt now. Ha 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 ha." This pisses off Kakashi and lighting crackles in his fingers dangerously as he looks at Urza. General POV. 1 more year passed and during this time the world was relatively quiet. Jaw stopped his aggressive expansion and now is back to the basics. He is recruiting the new batch of goons from Fishman Island. He also takes a lot of rookies who come to the new world under his wing. He doesn't give them any real power and mostly has them run small errands for him and fight amongst their fellow rookie pirates. Also during the year, in a certain Fusha village, a young man leaves to start his pirate journey and his brother is waving at him. "Luffy, next time we will meet, both of us will be pirates," declares Ace out loudly as he waves at Luffy. At around the same time, this happens. 2 minks wander into Big Mom's territory to look for a certain poneglyph. Their names are Zippo and Pedro. They are both killed. Big Mom didn't let even Pedro live when he begged for his life. She didn't let him see the new age and directly took his lifespan. Big Mom now knows better than to underestimate or let an enemy live for too long. She has learned that lesson the hard way, and has countless scars to remind her of it. After these events, Jaw didn't care for any of them. They were unimportant to him. He is currently on Fishman Island, feasting and drinking with Neptune. Both of their families are having a celebration. They just officially announced the future marriage between Kisame and Princess Shirahoshi. Kisame POV. I am currently sitting next to my friend, or I guess my future wife now. I look at her and see her giant eyes looking at me full of innocence. She is only 11 years old and I am 15, yeah. Kisame, this is so cool, we are gonna be married now. I heard that two people who are best friends, then they will get married. Says Shirahoshi to me, her smile widens as she says that. I can't help it as I smile back at her. Well, we can worry about doing the deed when we grow up. Currently, we just enjoy being friends. I will worry about it when the time comes. I nodded at Shirahoshi and grinned. Yep, I will also protect you now, since you will be my wife. As a husband I must protect you. Also, I will show you the outside world too. I will show you the world, Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi gets stars in her eyes as I tell her that, but then she appears unsure as she seems to remember something. But father says that. Mumbled Shirahoshi. Oh, so she is worried about her dad. Who gives a sh*t about Neptune, only dad's blessing matters. Neptune is only holding onto his power as a king because dad allows it. Dad can kick Neptune off his throne whimsically, whenever he wants. Of course, dad won't do that as me and Shirahoshi are married, but he still could do it if he wanted. Don't worry about that, Shira-chan. I can convince your father by then. I reassure her. Wow! You are really cool, Kisame. Compliments Shirahoshi, and I can't help it as I blush a little at that. I don't exactly get called smart a lot. Also, her giant size doesn't matter, because I plan to take the giantification procedure as soon as Caesar Clown succeeds in his experiments. The mad clown who ruined Punk Hazard's ecosystem is kinda stupid, but he is a genius scientist. I heard that he already created some dumbed-down versions of ancient giants. Well, I don't want to be too big, that would slow me down. But maybe just around Old Man Whitebeard's size would do. Around that size I wouldn't lose my speed too, using Sora would keep me quick on my feet. Whoa, there is some delicious food here. Mind if I join? Asks a voice out of nowhere. I look towards where the voice came from. I see it as a man wearing shorts, a yellow shirt/jacket and an orange hat with two pins, one making a happy face and the other a sad face. He has dark flowing hair that looks like seaweed, and freckles on his face. His most distinctive feature is the polite smile on his face. Chapter 73, Ace. As the young man says that, everyone at the party is looking at him. When Jaw looks at him he immediately recognizes who it is. Portgas Ace. Concludes Jaw with a smile on his face. Seeing the son of his old captain brings quite some fun memories to him. Though he didn't really try to save any of them or their families, Jaw wouldn't say that he wasn't fond of his friends that he made aboard the Oro Jackson, Roger's ship. As Ace looks around at the delicious food. As soon as he does that, behind him comes a muscular man with spiky long light blue hair, and wears a very long open coat which stretches down to his knees and leaves his chest exposed. Captain! This place is dangerous as Fu*K. We need to get out of here. Criticizes the blue-haired man, scared out of his mind as he looks at the people around the tables. Each of them having bounties beyond imagination in comparison to Ace, who only had a 200 million SZ bounty. Not only did Jaw have a 4,800 million SZ bounty, but some of his kids had high bounties now too. The lowest amongst them was Shinigami Ichigo. Bounty, 300 million SZ. His crimes include many, from killing a Marine Vice Admiral to destroying the G5 Marine base in the New World. Ace had recently defeated a Vice Admiral too, but even that was barely so. Ichigo on the other hand defeated one, and his whole G5 base single-handedly. But Ichigo's bounty is quite low when compared to some others. One of the people with a bounty higher than Ichigo is another one of Jaw's children. This one is sitting next to one of her younger siblings, Sasuke, and pinching his cheeks till they are red. Sasuke, your cheeks are so nice. I just want to pinch them all day long. Makoto Nachan, don't say something like that. Whine Sasuke. Sweet smile Makoto. Bounty, 400 million asset. Her crimes include many, from extortion, murder, holding Marines hostage and even participating in the event dubbed as the Celestial Dragon Brutalization, in which Jaw and a couple of his children publicly in front of Sabaody Archipelago in the middle of the day brutalized 3 celestial dragons. It was noted that Makoto had a smile on her face during the whole process. Now come the big deals, as Masked Deuce looks at the fishman whose resemblance to his father is impeccable. The Beast Kisame. Bounty, 700 million asset. His crimes include many. He too was part of the Celestial Dragon Brutalization, but he has also already killed some vice admirals and sunk many marine ships, even outside of the New World. Also, he has his own crew which is part of Jaw's overall crew. He has also destroyed the Wakaba Kingdom of North Blue for publicly insulting his family one night when the king was drunk. Then comes the scariest one of them all, the one sitting next to his father Jaw. Thunder Spear Kakashi. Bounty, 1 billion asset. The one who contended with Admiral Akiji and came out unharmed. Out of Jaw's children, he is the one considered the scariest. Not only does he manage a huge part of the New World black market, but he is the type of guy who will never fight you unless he is sure of his victory. He is considered as a planner of the highest caliber and has already fooled the world government countless times. So Deuce, seeing his captain interrupting something like this. Ace on the other hand seemed confused by this till he saw Jaw. Wah! Ace is shocked by that and his eyes almost jump out of their sockets. He obviously knows who the Yonko are, as he has seen their bounty posters countless times. Jaw on the other hand has a smile on his face and says, "You are welcome to join us if you want. If your father was alive I would have invited him to my son's wedding." Jajajajajaja. Ace's face immediately becomes a serious one as he looks at Jaw, who smirks showing his razor-sharp teeth. Everyone else was confused by who Ace's father was. Even his children couldn't guess who he was talking about. "You knew my father?" asks Ace with a glistering look in his eyes. Jajajaja, of course, I knew him. I was a part of his crew and he was my captain for a while. Admits Jaw. Immediately his children know who he is talking about. Even Neptune's eyes widened in shock. He was there when Jaw joined Roger's crew. He knew exactly who was Jaw's previous captain. Ace smiles at that and goes and sits at one of the tables and takes a huge bite out of some meat piece. "Well, don't mind me if I do." Ha 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 ha. Jaw then looks at Masked Deuce who was frozen in shock and invites him too. "If you are part of Ace's crew you are welcome to join us too." Masked Deuce doesn't even think about it and in a tray sits down next to Ace, which is a table close to the entrance of the palace. Suddenly a kid comes and touches his jacket. He looks down and sees a kid, which he assumes to be Jaws. The child seemed around 5 years old, has pink hair, and a smile on his face. "Hey, why do you wear such a **TTY mask around your eyes?" Makoto immediately calls out. "Natsu, language." "Ah. Sorry. I meant to ask why do you wear such a lame and horrible mask?" "Don't be rude like that, Natsu. Ask nicer." Jaw on the other hand was eating with no care in the world while Neptune lost his appetite. So Roger had a son, who would have thought? Ponders Neptune in a whisper. "I thought and knew he had a son," says Jaw casually. "You did?" questions Neptune. "Where has been all this time? And how come the Marines didn't find out? I mean at that time every pregnant woman around the 4 seas was checked if they were pregnant or were with a baby." Jaw shrugs at that. Well, Garp was the one who protected Roger's child. The mother also held her baby for way longer than possible, though she died later on due to the difficult birth. "Damn," curses Neptune silently. "If the world government knew of this, they would do almost anything to kill Roger's son. They can try." Shrugs Jaw as he takes a big bite out of some meat. Neptune gets curious when Jaw says that. "What do you mean by that? Will you protect him?" Jaw stops eating and while chewing his food he looks at Neptune. "We are pirates, I don't need to hold his hand. If he wanted a safe and quiet life, he should have just lived quietly in some corner of the world." When Jaw says it like that, Neptune understands that he won't protect Ace. After all, they are both pirates. One doesn't become a pirate and then beg to be protected because he is afraid of his actions and the rage they might entice. If one expects some other pirate to protect him, then he shouldn't become a pirate at all. Jaw just implied that if one doesn't have the stomach to be a pirate, he should just go and hide in a corner of the world, living away the rest of his life. Chapter 74, Talking about the Past. After the whole feast was finished, everyone went to sleep, and the rest of Ace's crew had also joined along the way. Also the royal family, Jaw's children, and Ace's crew all bonded together. While some of Ace's crew blacked out drunk, Jaw just looks at this with a smile on his face. He sees that Ace keeps sending him side glances every now and then. He probably never met anyone who was in Roger's crew. As Ace looks at Jaw, many thoughts run inside his head. First, the man didn't seem as intimidating as the Marines made him. He has been to Jaya Island, the place which is a pirate paradise, and is under Jaw. There were no rules in there: killing, stealing, or pain, etc. They were all allowed. But there was still one unspoken rule: never speak badly about Jaw. Or the next thing you would know was that under your cover when you wake up you will see the heads of your crew and everyone that you have ever loved. That was Jaw, the Emperor of the Sea, that you must never fight unless you are ready to lose your loved ones. Just attacking his territory, you won't even get to see him face to face. You will only see your family's brutalized bodies in your dreams before he takes some of them hostage. He is said to be single-handedly the worst opponent to fight against. Still, as Jaw's children and royal guards pull away some of the sleeping people, they reassure Ace that they will put them in beds. Later on, even King Neptune leaves until only Jaw and Ace are left. Jaw is like usual, only drinking green tea, and his kids too aren't allowed to drink. They just weren't here as they could read the atmosphere. Portgasty Ace, quite a name, isn't it? Says Jaw with a strange smile on his face. He looks at Ace and his smile widens even more. Roger used to say that if the child between him and Rogue was a girl, her name would be, and if it was a boy it would be Ace. Ace looks at this in surprise. He never knew that Jaw and his father were such close friends. Jaw of course was bulsh asterisk ting all the way through. Roger didn't even tell him that he had a child or someone that he loved, no less what his kid's name would be. He just gets this from his anime knowledge. It's been a long time since he was reborn here, but living in a world like this, Jaw hasn't forgotten anything too important about One Piece. Forgetting something that your life might depend later on isn't exactly Jaw's way of thinking. So, how was my father? Asked Ace. He is still sitting far away from Jaw as he says that. Jaw on the other hand doesn't mind this at all. Captain Roger? If there was a word to describe him, it would be selfish, or more like self-centered, I guess. You know, he was too early when he reached Laugh Tale. He was plagued by sickness too. Well, he at least went out on his terms, starting the whole pirate era as we know it. A single tear falls out of Ace's eye as he thinks of this, wondering what his father would think of him. Jaw on the other hand takes a sake cup and fills it with green tea and points it at Ace. Cheers, for Captain Gold Roger, the king of the pirates. The greatest pirate to ever sail these seas. Ace smiles at this slightly too and picks up a sake cup too. Cheers, for my father. Jaw smiles slightly at that. You have your road that you will have to follow, Ace. Don't try to follow your father's steps if you don't want to. Ace smirks at that. What? No way. I am gonna go and beat the strongest man in the world. Then I will show that I have surpassed my old man. Ha ha ha. Ja. Laughs Jaw out loudly. So you gonna fight old geezer Whitebeard? I would warn you to be careful. The old man might be old, but he is still as strong as hell. Ace nods at that. Jaw on the other hand narrows his eyes slightly as he can sense Ace's haki. It feels like a burning fire. So you must have awakened armament haki then? Asks Jaw out of nowhere. Ace on the other hand seemed confused by that and asks him. Armament haki? What is that? A vice admiral that I fought on Sabete Archipelago mentioned it too. Jaw smirks at that and picks up an olive seed that he just ate and throws it at Ace. Fwish! The olive seed moves fast and it pierces Ace's head easily. But there's only a hole and no blood comes out, the hole mends itself. So you as a Logia usually can't be hit by physical attacks, as I demonstrated with the olive seed. But now, Jaw takes another olive seed and covers this one in haki. Fwish! Bomb! This one hits Ace in the head and it even knocks him backward with a bump appearing on his forehead. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Moans Ace as he rolls on the ground. The olive seed was imbued with Jaw's hockey, and even though Jaw didn't go all out, it still hurts a lot to someone like Ace. That is what armament hockey is, a way to boost your attacks and allow you to hit Logia and generally hurt Devil Fruit users. Explains Jaw with a teasing smirk on his face. Anyway, you will be able to use armament hardening as long as you keep fighting powerful opponents. Just be careful in the new world. If you go in there thinking that you are invincible because you are a Logia, that is like asking for early death. Ace gets up and nods at that, bowing down to his waist. Thank you for telling me that, Sir Jaw. But can I ask you something else? Sure, says Jaw, seeing no need to refuse the polite Ace. Do you know where I can find Red Hair Shanks? I have something that I must thank him for. Affirmed Ace. Jaw just smirked at this. Oh, I know where you can find that guy. Also, can you tell him a message for me? He has my transponder snail number blocked and never answers my calls. Jaw and Ace converse for the rest of the night. Jaw also hears some stories about Itachi from Ace. He is the overly polite kid who taught Ace how he should act if he wanted to thank Shanks. The next day Ace set sail for the New World, and Jaw just waved him off. Kakashi saw this and he couldn't help but ask his father. Dad, what do you think the chances of Ace surviving in the New World are? Jaw ponders at this and in the end, he says. Around 20% I guess. He seems like the reckless kid that would never run away from a battle. That type of thing works for lucky people like Roger, but for Ace, we will see. Kakashi nods at that and makes a small note in his notebook about this. A couple of months later, Ace finally had found Shanks' location. They are on a snowy island, inside a cave in a mountain. After thanking Shanks for saving Luffy when he was young, Ace remembers the message that Jaw told him and he says that to Shanks. Oh, by the way, Jaw said that. Chapter 75, Too Young. Oh, by the way, Jaw said that you have been running away from your bill and it will start adding up interest soon. Shanks is shocked by this. Is Jaw a pirate or a banker? He has so much money already. Can he stop being so greedy? My debt is nothing to his overall wealth. As Shanks says that, he remembers how Jaw used to call him about the money. He was like a sketchy banker bothering their customers whenever they could. When Ace saw Shanks acting like this, he was confused by it. After all, aren't both he and Jaw Yonko? What is this childish behavior from Shanks? One more year passes and Jaw's bounty has reached 5 billion S-set. His bounty has long since surpassed both Kaido's and Big Mom's bounties. His bounty is close to Whitebeard's, whose bounty is only 46 million higher. Jaw has been funding the giantification experiments on Punk Hazard, but it seems like Caesar Clown has had very little success. So Jaw decided to put a little pressure on Caesar by saying that he will kill the clown if he doesn't achieve some results within the year. When someone like Jaw says that, it doesn't matter if Kaido and Big Mom found Caesar and such, neither of them is willing to fight Jaw for Caesar. The clown knows that, so he has now started to work harder and try to produce some results however small they might be. So has now started experimenting on children too. Cavendish, a prince exiled from his kingdom due to his beauty, has made waves as a super rookie on the Grand Line. But as soon as he entered the New World he was humiliatingly defeated by one of Jaw's children, Ichigo. A certain Ryakoju also has the last feast of his for many years to come. But while this was happening, on a certain island in Paradise, first half of the Grand Line, pirates were robbing a kingdom. They had already killed the royal family and were occupying the island. Ha 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 ha, this is the pirate's way, says a bald pink-bearded man. He is the captain of the Pink-Beard Pirates and has a bounty of 20 million S-set, but recently he stumbled upon a devil fruit that allows him to create wind balls and attack. It was a paramecia type. This is how it should be. The seas are ruled by us pirates, declared Pink-Beard. The civilians around him look down in despair. But suddenly one of his subordinates comes and seems to be panicked as he says, Captain! Captain! What? Marine Captain Crow is here, says the man. His face is filled with fear. Pink-Beard has a slightly scared look that passes over his eyes. But he remembers that he no longer is some 2-bit pirate. He now has a devil fruit which allows him to defeat a whole kingdom's military. No need, we can take care of him by OU dash. Fwish! As the captain was about to continue talking, but he suddenly stopped out of nowhere. The subordinate was confused by this until his captain's head slipped off its neck and fell on the ground. Plop! Blood spews out of the Beck stump like a fountain as Pinkbeard's body falls on the ground. Bam! Behind the pirate's fallen body was a mini that seemed to be perfectly covered by shadows. But suddenly, like the wind, he disappears, and suddenly the screams of the pirates ring out all around the camp. Ah! Help me! Please, I will never be a pirate again. Many of them beg to the wind as Marine Captain Crow, Itachi, slashed down the pirates like paper. The civilians' dull eyes were filled with hope once more. Fwash! All of the pirates fall on the ground, and Itachi finally appears in front of the civilians. He has a katana in his hand which strangely has no trace of blood in it. He is wearing a white marine coat on his back and a clean black suit with a black tie. He extends his free hand toward one of the civilians and says, "Worry not, for I am here." The people could see it now, Marine Captain Crow, or as he is known else as Pirate Killer. The number of pirates killed by him is countless. He has a kind smile on his face as he looks at the people. To the pirates, he is a monster, but to the normal people, Itachi is a hero. He is currently only 17 years old. The only reason he hasn't been promoted higher yet is due to his age. After all, a high-ranking Marine must know more than just fight, they must lead too. But Itachi will have a mass promotion once he reaches the age of 18. Later on, the Marines were notified of this incident. Sengoku is currently in his office as he gets this news about Itachi. He is a little angry at this. Can't that kid let some pirates live? We need them for public executions? In his office were Kizaru and Akiji. Neither of them says anything at first until Kizaru, who has his usual lazy look on his face, says, "Well, it doesn't matter now. Should just give him the Vice Admiral rank already. He has been with the Marines since he was 12. Though the paperwork says that he has been officially out of his training at 16, but everyone knows that he has been hunting pirates way before that. No one would refute you if you promote the kid." "No!" yells Sengoku out loud. That is the problem, he has officially been a Marine for only 1 year. Giving him anything higher would make it seem too strange. There is a procedure for these things. Though the kid has contributed a lot, he is too young to be promoted to a Vice Admiral. Akiji shrugs at this. Well, we need our own little hero too. Just like Garp-san was against the Pirate King. What are you on about? Questions Sengoku with a serious look on his face. Akiji just leans forward as his face becomes deadly serious too. You know what I'm talking about, commented Akiji. Jaw and his children, they are all growing in power. It's not just his strength that makes him dangerous. Well, you got stalemated by a kid Akiji, so who knows what you might consider strong nowadays. Teases Kizaru, trying to lighten the mood. But neither Sengoku nor Akiji seem up for any jokes now. Sheesh, these guys are too work concentrated. I just need a way to get out of here now. I came here thinking that something entertaining might be happening. Kizaru is about ready to get up, but Sengoku looks at Akiji and comments. Yes, also what was up with you letting the kid best you like that, Akiji? You should have been able to defeat someone like Kakashi. No matter how strong, he is still only a kid. Akiji looks down a little embarrassed as he remembers that occasion. That kid, he is a tricky opponent to fight against. Oh, they just weirded out the mood again. Now I can't just suddenly get up and walk away. Ponders Kizaru, truly regretting coming up here. Chapter 76, Setting Sail. While Sengoku was doing that, Ja, Kakashi, and the rest of his children were looking at Naruto as he is trying to go on a cool adventure before he will be married. Ja drinks some tea as he looks at Naruto and then gives a side glance towards Makoto. He could have just asked. I would have let him know, stated Ja as he takes another sip of his teacup. Makoto just seems uncomfortable by this, and in the end, she says, well, he looked so excited to be sneaking out like in those adventure books. I couldn't ruin that for him. Ja shrugs at that. Yeah, true, that would be way more fun. But he barely knows observation hockey, even his armament hockey is only barely good enough. The only reason he was even able to defeat the animals on the island was that his zipper fruit ignores most defenses and the animals themselves couldn't use hockey. He is being very dumb by doing this, says Kakashi as he has a nonchalant look on his face. But he won't be staying in the New World, or even the Grand Line if he wants to not be found by Dad. He will probably go to one of the Blues, concludes Escanor, already predicting what Naruto would do. He knows his brother way too well. Also, He will be the brawn, as dead cat will be the brains. He took him to go on his journey. Jaw shrugs at this. Well, it doesn't matter. He will be safe. I have hundreds of children and the world government doesn't even know about Naruto due to his absence during his 3 years of training in Rizukina Island. His children nod at this. They know that his father doesn't keep them prisoner here after all. But they stay with family because they want to. Jaw's smile widens even more as he sees Naruto get on a small rowing boat. Also, he is my son after all. I know that he will return once his adventure is over. Jajajajajaja. 1 year later in One East Blue, a young man wearing a straw hat set sail. He has already had multiple adventures and the most recent one was saving Usopp's village from the Kuro pirates. Okay, so we will need a pirate flag, says Usopp, and he shows Luffy his flag. After many joke ones, he made the pirate skull with a straw hat. Whoa! That is so cool! Exclaims Luffy in happiness. Nami just looks at them with a look of annoyance on her eyes. Luffy and Usopp have been arguing about such things for quite a while. Zoro is sleeping and doing nothing too. That is when out of the corner of her eye she sees a young blonde-haired young man face down in the water. Someone in the water, says Nami as she points at the blonde-haired young man. Luffy and Usopp look at it and due to their naturally good eyesight, they can see that it is a spiky-haired young man. Gomu Gomu no catch. Luffy's arm extends and catches the young man by his shirt and pulls him towards the boat. Bomb! The blonde-haired man crashes into Luffy, which puts them both on the ground. Zoro has woken up now too. He looks at the newcomer and menacingly says, "He is probably dead." As soon as he says that, the blonde-haired young man opens his eyes. He has strange scars on his cheek that look like whiskers. A zombie! Yells out Usopp as he sees the newcomer's tired look on his eyes. Yawn. The newcomer just yawns and asks, "Wait! Where am I?" "At sea," answers Zoro. He is fully on guard against the man in front of him. In the battle before, he got his sword taken from him by 2 Kuro pirate officials, Butchie and Sham. So he is on guard now. He won't allow himself to ever be humiliated like that, a swordsman getting his swords taken from him. "Anyway, who are you?" The blonde-haired man smiles at them and does a silly pose. "I am Naruto, the great calamity of the 6 seas." Whoa! Luffy gets stars in his eyes as he hears Naruto introduce himself. That is so cool. Wanna join my crew? Okay, answers Naruto casually, surprising the other crew members. After all, Naruto literally knows nothing about Luffy. "Welcome to the crew, Naruto," says Luffy casually as he and Naruto shake hands. "Thanks for having me. What's your name again?" asks Naruto confused. You joined his crew and don't even know his name? Usopp is even more shocked at how casually Naruto accepted the offer to join Luffy's crew. Unlike Luffy and Naruto, who were now talking casually, he and the rest were still in shock. "Oh, my name is Luffy. I am gonna be king of the pirates," exclaims Luffy with a happy smile on his face. "Oh, that's cool," says Naruto, completely unimpressed by this. "Got any food in here?" Sniff sniff. He sniffs the air a couple of times and looks at a barrel. "You have fruits? Do you have any meat?" Luffy falls on the ground as the mood around him turns depressing. "No, we don't." Nami becomes more annoyed when she hears that. "That's because you ate it, Luffy." But Naruto smiles triumphantly at them all. "I have some meat with me." He then sticks his own hand down his throat to the elbow and he pulls it out. There is a black cat who seems too bored to even mew. Instead, the cat just opens its mouth and, "Sup, hairless animals," comes a deep masculine voice from the cat. It immediately freezes everyone in their place. "What you looking at? Wanna bow before me or something?" "Cool!" yells Luffy out loud and goes towards the cat. "How can you talk?" "I am talking, cat, don't ask too many questions," says the cat in its mesmerizing deep voice. "We can cook him," says Naruto with a smile on his face. The cat doesn't seem bothered by this as it just looks at Luffy, who is poking the cat. Swish! It is one of its claws and scratches Luffy on the face, which makes Luffy roll on the ground yelling in pain. "Know your place, trash," says the cat as it jumps out of Naruto's grasp and lands on the ground. "I can go and hunt us some fish if you want." The cat goes to the edge of the ship and looks at the sea. Come to me, fish, says the cat. Its strange deep voice vibrates in the water and fish suddenly start jumping on the boat. Whoa, the cat is so dependable, exclaims Usopp in surprise. Too many shocking things have been happening during the last minute that he hasn't even had the time to react to them. The cat then looks around and asks, anyone got a cigarette? Zoro and Nami shake their heads at this. The cat sighs in disappointment. I just have to do everything myself, don't I? Oi! Naruto! Do you have any cigarettes? Asks the cat. No, answers Naruto simply, as he is currently explaining how he assumes Dead Cat has learned how to talk. Like you checked and didn't find any, or did you just assume that you don't have any? Asks the cat in annoyance. Naruto sighs at this and runs his finger along his abdomen. A zipper appears and Naruto opens it, showing a dark space. Naruto puts his hand inside and checks around. He pulls something out and it's dynamite. What about this, you stupid cat? You can have this. Chapter 77, Verity. The crew, except Luffy, are surprised by the actions of Naruto and his talking cat. To them, this all happened under a minute. Their brains still haven't come to terms with what they are seeing. How did you do that? Questions Usopp. To him, this is something that he thought impossible. Did you eat a devil fruit like Luffy too? Asks Nami too, but she is calmer than Usopp. Zoro on the other hand just lost interest in this and he lied down leaning on the rail of the ship. Though he seemed relaxed look on his face, he was still fully on guard against Naruto. Naruto on the other hand is completely relaxed as he puts the dynamite in his personal storage. The zipper fruit can be used as a storage container too, though Naruto has filled it with a lot of junk so he usually can't find the things that he needs quickly. Well yeah, I did eat a devil fruit, more specifically the zipper fruit, and I can do a lot of cool sh*t with it, boasted Naruto with a prideful look on his face. Also I can even store a lot of things, like this. He opens the zipper in his abdomen again. He was only wearing orange pants and no shirt, so he used his abdomen as an opening point. He takes out a hammer, pencil, and a broken dish plate. Whoa, that's cool! Exclaim Luffy and Usopp, while Nami has an unimpressed look on her face. Useful ability, but it seems like you have filled the storage with just trash. Guesses Nami. You are a hoarder. While she says that she sees that Naruto is not paying attention to her at all as he had pulled out a deck of cards and was playing with Usopp and Luffy, the latter had a terrible poker face as every time someone asked him if he had good or bad cards he would just lie, but his face just tells it all as he starts whistling. Naruto was actually winning, which surprised Naruto a little. He never won any card game against his siblings, but he also didn't know that his siblings were playing their own game of cheating and not getting caught. Nami just looked at this annoyed, but she suddenly feels something touch her foot. She looks down and sees the black cat with a fish in its mouth. Can you cook this for me? Asks Dead Cat. Nami smiles at the cat as a certain glint appears on her eyes. It will cost you 10,000 berry. Dead Cat just nudges his head to the side cutely. I am a cat. I have no money. Nami in the end just smiles mischievously and says, Oh, then you will owe me one cat. After saying that she walks towards the kitchen on the ship. Dead Cat narrows his eyes at this. She seems to be desperate. Concludes the strangely observing cat. It doesn't take long for Naruto to easily befriend the crew, his natural naive charisma working in his favor. Making even someone like Zoro trust Naruto as he saw him playing around and playing petty tricks with Luffy, so the conclusion that Zoro came to was that yes, Naruto was just a simpleton. The cat was smarter than him. So how can you talk? Asks Usopp out of curiosity. Dead Cat just licks his paws once he hears this. Why do you have such a long nose? Usopp looks at the cat confused. Naruto and Luffy were messing around as Luffy's sixth head became like a giant balloon and Naruto had separated Luffy's head with this fruit and was playing around with it like a football. Due to them messing around, Usopp never attempted to shoot the cannon at a rock as they passed by. So they never even know of the people in it. But after being done messing around, Naruto looks at the fish that Nami cooked and asks Luffy. So, we are gonna go to the Grand Line, right? Luffy nods his head and with his mouth full he says something that sounds like a yes. Naruto swallows the fish whole and says, Okay, then we're gonna need a cook. Yeah, I can't just continue cooking for you guys, says Nami with an annoyed look in her eyes. Plus I am not gonna be around you for much longer too. I know a place where we can get a cook, says Dead Cat as he uses his tail to grab a knife to cut the fish. Naruto, remember that place where we ate? Naruto is confused by this. He and Dead Cat had eaten in a lot of places since they came to East Blue. The one with the rude waiter with the swirly eyebrow, clarifies Dead Cat. He finally cut the fish, he lets go of the knife and grabs a fork with his tail. Naruto is still unsure what Dead Cat is even talking about. The cat sighs at this. Damn it Naruto, you foo asterisk king dumbass which doesn't have even 2 brain cells to rub together. Naruto and Luffy look at Dead Cat, not understanding that Dead Cat just insulted Naruto. In the end, the cat gets even more annoyed at this. But still, he doesn't explain his insult because that would make him seem ridiculous. So he just starts explaining to the crew what Baratai is. After explaining what Baratai to everyone, the cat tells them that they can find some of the best chefs in East Blue at that place. But as the cat was explaining this, Naruto fell asleep halfway through it. As Naruto was sleeping, the Straw Hats are confronted by Full Body and in the end, Luffy had to work in order to pay for the damages. Once Naruto sees Luffy in a waiter's uniform he just laughs out loud. Gah! Luffy, you are gonna become the king of the waiters by doing this. Gah! Naruto can't help it as he rolls on the ground laughing. Oi! Naruto, don't laugh at your captain, yells Luffy while pointing at Naruto, which makes Naruto laugh even more. Zeph comes down from the second floor and sees Naruto. Suddenly a look of recognition flashed past his eyes. In the end, he just looks at Naruto and asks, "Hey, aren't you the brat who ate here and then ran away a couple of days ago?" Naruto suddenly stops rolling on the ground and remembers which restaurant this was. Ah! I remember now, this is the place in which we ran away from after eating a feast. Exactly, whispers Dead Cat as it acts like a normal cat mewing and starts rubbing his body along Nami's leg. So sometime later Naruto is also put in his waiter uniform. He has an annoyed look on his face as Luffy looks at him with a huge grin on his face. Oi! What are you smiling at, Luffy? I am your Nakama, don't laugh at my misfortune like that, declares Naruto, not understanding how hypocritical he was being as 2 minutes ago, he was the one who was laughing. Chapter 78, Creed Pirates. After that ordeal, Naruto is put on cleaning duty and is currently washing some plates. Crash. A plate falls on the ground as he washes them and tries to throw them to where the other plates. But the plates just land forcefully on the ground next to it or in it. One of the chefs notices this and says out loud, "Oi! Whiskers, go and do something else. You already broke over 10 plates." Naruto nods at this absent-mindedly and goes to clean the floors as he grabs a broom. He knows how to clean plates, but he also knows that if he is bad at something, people won't ask you to do it. So that is why Naruto broke the plates. He wanted a job like this. By cleaning, he can just say that he is doing his job when in actuality he is just relaxing. So he does this by acting like he is cleaning the bathroom, but he just goes and sits down on one of the stalls and uses his fruit to take out a block of palm-sized wood and a knife. So he starts carving. He would rather do this for fun then. But not even a couple of seconds after he starts carving on the toilet, the door to his stall is forcefully kicked open. Bomb! Naruto flinches at this slightly and she looks up to see Zeph standing there as he kicked the door with his wooden leg. Pow! He hits Naruto on the head with his wooden leg and yells at Naruto, "Go to work, kid!" A large bump appears on Naruto's head as he mumbles, Yeah. Naruto gets up and starts walking towards the door, and that is when Zeph says, "Also, kid, since you are like this, I want the hallway leading to the private quarters cleaned before 6 in the evening today." Naruto nods at this and Zeph smiles slightly. He knows that Naruto is not a bad kid necessarily. He is just a little lazy, but he has countless years of experience in how to deal with lazy people, so he knows that someone lazy can also be the most efficient worker as they try to find shortcuts to things. Naruto starts cleaning again. He wonders what he should do after work. It's all just so monotonous and boring. Wish I had Itachi's devil fruit, then I could just make the clones do these things for me, ponders Naruto, but in the end, he just sighs at this, as at least his fruit has pretty good storage capacity and it's strong. Dad also said that my fruit could become something amazing if trained enough and awakened. But of course, Kakashi had to be AD*CK about it and start saying bad things about my devil fruit. 2 whole days pass and Naruto has learned how to do the jobs just enough so Zeph won't come looking for him. Luffy was doing worse as a chore boy, as at every job that he gets he fails, and Zeph has to beat his head a little. After the 2 days of doing work, finally, something interesting happened as a gout man who seemed to be starting came to Baratai and begged for food. Naruto of course didn't really care about any of this. He was willing to wait another week and then he will leave the crew. He isn't really willing to change and become a waiter for months. To Naruto, living a monotone life is worse than death. Naruto looks nonchalantly. He can tell just how weak this man is. He is kicked out due to having no money, but seeing Sanji go outside with a plate of food surprised Naruto a little. That is when out of nowhere Dead Cat appears and says, "That is Man Demon Jin, a pirate that works for Don Krieg. You will finally get to fight," or something like that. Especially knowing what is said about Don Krieg's personality. As the cat says that it has a slight smile on his face. Dead Cat loves seeing other people bash each other in the head. Even though he and Naruto might seem like completely different personalities, they have more in common than they would like to admit. Naruto just goes back to the kitchen, grabbing some food for himself and a cooked fish for the cat. They sat down on the roof of Baratai and looked at the situation unfolding below them. After Sanji fed Jin, just like Naruto and Dead Cat predicted, Krieg came and begged for food. Naruto looked at the man. He didn't feel any sympathy for him as he could tell that he was faking it. But at the same time, he didn't think that Krieg was pathetic or anything like that. Bowing in front of an enemy to gain an advantage is a valid move while fighting. They are pirates after all. As soon as he eats his food, Krieg punches Sanji in the face and Jin immediately looks surprised at this. "Don, this is not what you promised me. This man is our savior. You promised me that you would not do anything to the restaurant," yelled Jin, infuriated by this situation that he is in. But Krieg is different. He just stands up and grabs Jin by the shoulder and he uses all of his strength to grip it, causing Jin to scream out in pain. "Ah, now I feel like I'm back to my normal self," exclaims Krieg, breathing out a sigh. He then looks around, he sees the fancy restaurant and says, "Nice restaurant that you got here. I will take it." "I told you, this is the real Krieg," exclaims one of the chefs who warned Sanji before. Immediately as this happens, the customers and some of the staff run away and get on some boats outside. "Get on the boat!" exclaimed some of the passengers as they escaped. "We need to get out of here before we are surrounded." Krieg looks at this with a nonchalant look. It doesn't matter to him who escapes, he only needs the boat, and fighting with some random civilians will not bring him any benefits, it will only hinder him. "Also prepare enough food for my 100 starving men on my ship." The chefs immediately stand up and have a resolute look on their faces. They were determined to fight Krieg before he even had a chance to get his 100 men to back him up. But Sanji on the other hand starts walking towards the kitchen. Immediately, around a dozen chefs pull out guns and point them at Sanji. "Oi! Sanji, what the hell do you think you are doing?" exclaims one of the chefs that had decided to stay behind and fight Krieg. "I am going to the kitchens to prepare food for 100 men," says Sanji causally. "Sanji! Are you some hidden agents of Krieg or something? We definitely won't let you go to the kitchen," says one of the other chefs. Sanji lights up a cigarette and looks at his fellow chefs resolutely. "Then shoot me." He starts walking towards the kitchens, but at this time Patty just clutches his fists together and hits Sanji to the back of his head. Bomb! Immediately that knocks Sanji down on the ground. Luffy is on the stairs and looks at his future chef with a look of surprise. Patty on the other hand just tells the other chefs to hold Sanji down as he takes a bazooka from a box close to the stairs and points it at Krieg and immediately shoots while yelling out loudly. "This is Baratai, the restaurant that deals with pirates on a daily basis. We are more than prepared for any rowdy situation that might appear." Boom! The shot lands as Krieg is engulfed by the explosion and thrown out of the door. The chefs cheer for Patty, but that is when Krieg gets up. He is unhurt and all over his suit guns appear and they are aimed at the chefs. That was the worst dessert that I have eaten in a restaurant. Pow! 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 At this time both Luffy and Naruto move at the same time, appearing in front of the bullets and stopping them. Teke. While Luffy's body stretches when the bullets land, Naruto is a whole other deal. The bullets simply bounce off his body like they were hitting a steel wall. Chapter 79, Where are you from Naruto? Once Krieg sees that both Naruto and Luffy can take on his bullets, he immediately changes his strategy and out of his frontal armor tiny gun shot some balls, and once they make contact with Luffy and Naruto, boom! They are both engulfed in an explosion like they were hit by a bazooka. Luffy stands his ground and doesn't move, but he is still hurt. Naruto on the other hand, it pushed back as he using Tekai. He can't move his body, but he took way less damage than Luffy. That hurts a little. Contemplates Naruto, he can feel slight internal pain. Though Tekai helps him deal and nullify a lot of damage, he is still made out of flesh and blood, so heat and other things still affect him. Plus his Tekai isn't strong like the rest of his siblings. Even a female like Makoto, who has less physical strength than if she was a man, has a stronger Tekai than Naruto. But in comparison, Makoto is a physical monster too, due to jaw training his children ridiculously. For his age, Naruto is almost the strongest amongst his siblings. Krieg sees that Luffy isn't that hurt, so he immediately charges him and uses his diamond knuckles to punch Luffy. Bam! The punch hits Luffy on the head, but he doesn't take that damage from it due to his body having the properties of rubber, so blunt force is almost useless to him. Gum Gum Pistol. Bam! Luffy punches Krieg on the face, sending him flying backward. Nami and Usopp look at Naruto, who was blasted away from the explosion. But once they see him getting up unharmed. Except his waiter's attire was destroyed. Naruto has an annoyed look on his face as he mumbles. Hope I don't have to pay for these clothes. That's what you were worried about. Screams Usopp in annoyance. He and Naruto could be considered good friends, so he was worried for him when he saw him fly off from the explosion. Krieg gets up and looks at Luffy. He is about to attack again, but that is when Zeph comes out of the kitchen and lays a stack of food in front of Krieg. Owner Zeph! Screamed the other chefs in shock. They could smell that the giant sack was filled with food. There is enough food for 100 people. So hurry up and bring it to your men, says Zeph with a calm look on his face. Krieg on the other hand was more concerned with the name. Did they just call you Zeph? Sir, how could you do that? Asks one of the chefs, bewildered while seeing Zeph feed the enemy. Once the pirates on that ship recover, they will take over Baratai. Naruto is the one to answer that question as he walks forward. His eyes are shadowed by his hair as he says, that is if they have any fighting spirit left. He then looks at Krieg and with a mocking smile on his face he asks, isn't that right, loser of the Grand Line? Immediately the people around look at Naruto in surprise. To them, Krieg is undefeatable in East Blue, and even he was still defeated in the Grand Line. Once Krieg heard this, he was angry, veins were popping in his forehead. But he was able to stop himself from attacking. He knows best that he needs to go and fed his men before he can even think of taking the Baratai. No matter how strong, one can't manage a ship all by himself. Concludes Krieg as he just takes the sack of food and turns his back, walking away. Red Leg Zeph, prepare your journal log of the Grand Line, give it to me, and then I will let you live. As Krieg says that, the others let him walk away, but Naruto sees that Krieg has his back and smirks slightly. He remembers what his father taught him. The best time to attack a man is when his back is turned. Saru. Fwish! Naruto disappears from his previous position and kicks at Krieg towards his head. Bam! As the hit lands, Krieg flies towards his ship and crashed into it together with his sack of food. Naruto is about to give chase. Since now Krieg is most likely dazed, he can use this moment to attack and take him out. But as he is about to do so, Zeph kicks Naruto on the head. Oi! Chore boy, don't go beating people I give food to. Wait till all of the starving members of the Crate Pirates are fed, then we can obliterate them. Naruto on the other hand just looks at Luffy and asks, Captain, can I fight this one? Luffy seems to think about this a little and Zoro looks at Naruto and asks, you need help? Nope, not really. Answers Naruto casually. Aw. I wanted to fight him myself, Naruto, but since you want to, you can fight him, Naruto. Says Luffy. He was a little disappointed, but Krieg isn't even that strong, so it doesn't matter anyway. Naruto nods at this, but he notices that Nami isn't there with them anymore. She probably went to the bathroom. Jin on the other hand is lying on the ground, clutching his arm as tears of regret run down his face. He regrets endangering his savior's life. He regrets repaying Sanji's kindness with such cruelty. He couldn't help it as he asked forgiveness from Sanji. Sanji, please forgive me. I had no idea this would happen. There is no need for you to apologize. says Zeph. The cooks of this restaurant acted out of their own will, and that is the result of that. The cooks argue and ask Zeph why he did it. Zeph answers simply that they wouldn't understand what starving in this ocean meant. As a chef, it was his duty to feed the hungry, after that they can kill them all. He also said that anyone who wants to leave can leave. Sanji also takes his stance and tells Jin that even if Jin himself decided to tail Baratai, he would kill him too. Patty takes this time to criticize Sanji by saying, "What kind of cook even are you? Killing a man after saving his life." Sanji gets annoyed at this and says to Patty, "Shut up, you sh*tty cook." Naruto on the other hand is bored and asks Zeph if he has really been in the Grand Line before. Zeph confirms this and admits that now he is just a simple chef and nothing more. Naruto is again bored and looks at Jin. "So how did you guys even get destroyed in the Grand Line?" Jin immediately gains a terrified look on his face. Those 7 days in that place, they were more like a nightmare. I am still struggling to even believe it myself. All 50 of our ships and 5,000 pirates were all defeated by a single man. I can remember his eyes so vividly, even though everything else feels like a dream, those hawk-like eyes. What, the entire Krieg pirate fleet was all defeated by a single man? Exclaims one of the cooks in shock. Even Zoro was startled at the mention of Hawkeye. Naruto immediately has a realization of whom they are talking about. "Oh! You mean Hawkeye, you probably disturbed his nap or something." Also, ever since Shanks lost his arm, the guy hasn't fought any swordsman that can give him a challenge anymore. He could fight Dad, but Dad would win if he fought Mihawk. As Naruto says that, everyone looks at him with a strange look in their eyes. Even Zeph is a little curious. "Who and where you from, kid?" Naruto smiles at them brightly before doing a pose and saying, "My name is Naruto, and I am from the Grand Line." Chapter 80, World's Greatest Swordsman. When Naruto says that he is from the Grand Line, everyone looks at him with surprised looks and shock on their faces. They didn't know what to say to this. They just heard that someone like Don Krieg was absolutely destroyed by someone like Hawkeye. But that is when everyone looked at Naruto even more strangely. He also didn't seem like the type who would lie, as he also didn't even seem surprised that one man defeated a fleet with 50 ships and 5,000 men. But what was currently on everyone's mind was, who the hell is Naruto's father? Everyone wanted to know that, and Jin beat everyone to the punch by asking first, "Naruto, who is your father?" Jin, a man who had been broken by the Grand Line and looking at Mihawk, wanted to at least know the name of a man greater than that. His mind never even had the thought that Naruto might be lying. Naruto smiles at that. "Oh, my dad is Dash." He was about to say more, but Dead Cat jumped up and scratched Naruto's eyes and face with a stray cat growl. "H! You stupid cat, you are scratching my eyes!" Yells Naruto in pain as he tries to pull away from the cat from him. Dead Cat didn't say anything and acted like a normal cat by scratching Naruto and holding onto his hair with her teeth. Everyone just looks at this strangely, not knowing what to even say on this occasion. They didn't even question why a seemingly normal black cat would interfere just when Naruto was about to spill some big secret. But at this moment suddenly, boom! A loud explosion sings about and some yells are heard on the outside coming from Krieg's men. "Captain! Our ship has been cut." The cooks and even Luffy, Naruto, Zoro, and Usopp go outside and see the giant galleon that Krieg came in have been cut in two. Usopp and the others look for their ship, but they can't find it. Did the ship sink? Questions Zoro as he sees the giant galleon start sinking and creating giant waves. Zeph sees this and orders out loud, "Put down the anchor or this ship is going to be dragged under." The waves created were gigantic, like a tsunami. But as it settles down, Naruto looks towards the horizon and sees the ship. "Oi! Luffy, isn't that the Going Merry?" Our ship!" Yells Luffy out loud, panicked. Zoro and Usopp seemed unsure of what to do. That is when Dead Cat lands on top of Luffy's head and narrows its eyes. "I can see that girl Nami on the ship. Seems like she stole it," says Dead Cat with a calm voice, while Zoro is blaming himself for letting his guard down and Usopp is blaming Nami. Naruto and Luffy have a calm look on their faces. Dead Cat on the other hand just looks at them like they are all fools. Well, she did say that she used to steal from pirates, and it seems like she still does too. Naruto then grabs Dead Cat by the fur on his back and looks at him with an annoyed face. "Why are so smug? You are just a cat, admit it, you got fooled by her too. No, I actually saw this coming from a mile away. Answers the cat with a nonchalant look on his face. I am not a loser like you guys. Naruto narrows his eyes again. I am gonna eat you one day, you stupid cat. Also, don't even know where she is going. Don't make yourself look cool by making it seem like it was all part of your plan. But it was, says the cat. Zoro also heard the cat say that and it looked at the cat curiously. The cat notices this and elaborates. It seems like she still had some problems to take care of. Also, she is going east, so it would be safe to Kokoyasi Island. Dead Cat had the whole map of East Blue memorized, so he knows where the general direction of places is. Also, Naruto can't navigate *T, so the cat did all of the navigating and route planning while Naruto did the brawn work. I want her to be our navigator no matter what, says Luffy as he looks at the rest of his crew. Don't worry, Luffy, I will finish this fight quickly, and then we can chase after her, says Naruto, and that is when some members of the Krieg pirates call out. Don Krieg! It's him. The one who destroyed our fleet. He has followed us all the way here. He has come to kill us. Zoro has a shocked look on his face. He can't believe that he will meet the world's greatest swordsman so soon. I can't believe it, at that, the Hawkeye man. Don Krieg, on the other hand, is covered in cold sweat as he looks at Hawkeye. His worst nightmare just appeared in front of him. Damn bastard. We are done, says one of Don Krieg's men, his face full of terror. He couldn't believe it that they had met someone like Hawkeye like this. Damn it! What the hell did we do to you? Why are you following us all the way here? Hawkeye doesn't even look at the man who asked him that, and he answers simply by casually saying, just to kill some time. That's bullshit, yells Krieg's man out loudly as he pulls out 2 double-barrel pistols and shoots. Pow! Pow! Before any one of them can even see anything, Hawkeye pulls his giant sword out and uses the tip of the sword to redirect the bullet's trajectory. Zoro sees this and he has a calm look on his face as he decides to address Mihawk. I have never seen such graceful movements. A sword without grace is no strong sword at all, answers Mihawk. His face is still calm as he puts his giant on his back. Did you cut this ship as well with that sword? Asks Zoro. He wants to know for sure. Yes, indeed, says Mihawk. I see, then I would like to challenge you into a duel for the title of the world's strongest swordsman, concludes Zoro. He knows that in no way can he beat a man like Mihawk at the moment. But he feels that if he didn't challenge him now, then he will be breaking his promise to Kuina, and never again would he have the courage to challenge Mihawk. Mihawk accepts the challenge and Naruto frowns at this. He knows just how much the difference can be between someone like Zoro and someone like Mihawk. Out of all the current Shichibukai, Mihawk is the strongest, and even his father respects Mihawk and wouldn't cross him needlessly. Naruto gets ready to use Soru at any moment and go save Zoro. But Luffy notices this and puts a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto, let Zoro fight his own battles. It's his dream to become the world's best swordsman. He is our Nakama, so we can't stop him from that. Naruto sighs a little and nods. He knows that no matter what, Mihawk will not kill Zoro if he mentions his father's name to threaten him. But at the same time, he knows that if he does something like that, then his adventure will be over, as the world government will hunt him down. As Zoro's fight with Mihawk goes along, Zoro is defeated by Mihawk using a small dagger. But in the end, Mihawk uses his swerve as he is impressed by Zoro and him saying that wounds on the back are a swordsman's shame, and Fwish! He cuts Zoro from his collarbone to his midsection. Naruto has an angry look on his face as he uses Soru and appears behind Mihawk, one of his arms extending towards him. With my zipper fruit, I can destroy his sword and paralyze his body by separating his head, thinks Naruto, but that is when Fwish! An arm flies in the air. Huh? Wonders Naruto as he confusingly looks at his bleeding stump. Chapter 81, Imprint. Huh? Naruto is surprised as he looks at his stump, as his arm flies into the air. Mihawk looks at the child who attacked him. Do not worry, young man, your comrade is not dead. As he says that, he just puts his sword on his back. Why you? But Luffy wouldn't allow that as he extended his arm and caught into the railing of the ship Naruto and Mihawk were standing on. He propels himself forward as he prepares to punch Mihawk. But before he can meet Mihawk, pow! A hand grabs Luffy by the face. It's Naruto. Luffy seemed surprised as he saw Naruto actually stopped him with an arm that is supposed to be separated from his body. Don't get angry, Luffy, stretch your hand, and grab Zoro as he has fallen into the water. Luffy nods at this and does so, grabbing Zoro and pulling him out of the salty waters. Naruto moved his hand a little and smiled. At the place where his arm was supposed to be cut, there was a zipper connecting the two sides. I see, so my fruit can also be used this way. Ponders Naruto as he lays a distraught Zoro on the floating debris and runs his finger along Zoro's wound. Zip. The sound of a zipper closing is heard as a zipper appears along Zoro's wound and closes it. Naruto smiles at this. He never thought of using his fruit like this to close wounds and only got the idea when he saw his arm fly away. I can even move my arm perfectly. Hopefully, it attaches back naturally and I don't have to keep this zipper on my arm forever. Mihawk just looks at Luffy, Naruto, and Zoro. He looks at Luffy and asks, "What about you? What is your goal?" "To become Pirate King," answers Luffy with a cold look on his face that seems very unusual on his face. "Heh, that is a goal even harder than surpassing me," says Mihawk as he then addresses Naruto. "You?" "Not telling you," answers Naruto with a childish look on his face. "Fwish!" Mihawk immediately points his sword at Naruto. "You have a way of getting under my nerves, kid." "Heh!" Naruto just smiles again, unrelentingly. Hawkeye decides to injure the kid a little to teach him that acting like that wouldn't help him survive. But suddenly a voice says, "I wouldn't do that if I was you, Hawkeye." Hawkeye looks at where the voice came and he sees a black cat looking at him intensively and wiggling its tail behind it. "And why would that be?" asks Hawkeye, a little amused by this situation. "Because when you enter the Grand Line you won't leave it alive if his father catches wind of what went on here," explained the cat. Mihawk looks at the cat searching for any sign of deceiving. But to him, the cat seemed to 100% believe its own words. In the end, he just put his sword on his back again and started walking away. Don Krieg sees this and calls out, "Hey, Mihawk D-dash! Fwash! Boom!" Before Don Krieg could even finish what he was saying, the shipwreckage he was standing on got cut and a giant tsunami engulfed Don Krieg as Mihawk jumps back to his small boat and disappears into the mist created by his slash. But not before he heard Zoro's declension of never losing again. After that, Don Krieg swims back upon his ship. He has an angry look on his face. He now thinks that he has figured out Hawkeye's tricks. He must have eaten a legendary devil fruit. No way can a normal man cut a ship in two like that. His mind simply couldn't comprehend power like that existed. He was what one would call a frog in a well. Because of his arrogance, he even assumes himself to be the world's strongest man, but that is all nothing. Naruto looks at Krieg and charges him, but Pearl, a man with many shields, appears in front of him. Naruto didn't even try to maneuver as he just uses Soru and in a blink of speed disappears from everyone's vision, and the next thing they see is bomb! Pearl's giant shield crack and break as Naruto's fist sank into the man's abdomen, making him spew out 2 hands full of blood. "I don't have time for you now." Sora Naruto's voice is up in the air as he just appears next to Don Krieg, and before the man could react, Naruto runs a finger along the man's neck, and it immediately flies off. Zipper zipper, decapitation. Naruto announces the name of his attack as Krieg's body falls on the ground, immobile while his head could still talk. "Zeph, I don't owe you any more, do I?" "No, you don't, kid," smiles Zeph. Naruto then looks at the other Krieg pirates and asks, "Do any of you want to challenge me?" They immediately shake their heads and jump offboard. He also throws away Don Krieg's head as he also had used a zipper to close Krieg's mouth. Naruto then looks at Don Krieg's body and a malicious smile appears on his face. He goes and uses his zipper ability to pull away Don Krieg's legs and arms apart. He also takes away his golden armor, weapons, and diamond knuckles. "Bahaha, I am gonna be rich!" exclaims Naruto as he takes anything of value from Krieg. When Usopp sees Naruto's look on his face as he steals from Krieg and separated his body, he yells out loudly, "Ah!" Naruto is chopping someone up. Oh wait, there is no blood actually. "Oi! Naruto, what are you doing?" Naruto smiles. "I am immobilizing him so the Marines can take him away. Also, I am gonna actually need some money too, as I don't want to always run away from my tabs." Jin sees this and is about to act. He might never be able to repay the favor to Sanji. But he also respects Don Krieg, so he can't allow the man that he respects be captured like that. Sorry, but... Suddenly Dead Cat jumps in front of him while licking its paws says, "When a black cat crosses your path then you are bound to have bad luck." Jin looks at the talking cat and in the end, he attempts to walk forward, but the cat swings its tail slightly and suddenly Jin slips falling on his back. "I told you if you keep walking that way you would have BD luck," says the cat smugly. Jin just lies on the floor thinking about what he should do next. He could go and try to save Krieg, even if he knows that he will fail as Naruto would easily take him down. "Hey, cat, what do you think I should do?" asks Jin while looking at the sky. "Why the hell would I know what you want to do? Chose for yourself, dumbass," says Dead Cat as he starts walking towards the restaurant. "Hey, does anyone have any well-cooked food?" Jin is left on the ground thinking what he should do with his life now. Around 1 hour passes and while Naruto, Luffy and Sanji go to get some food the chefs look at Sanji and say, "Are you the one who made this soup?" "Yeah," says Sanji. "Horrible," says Patty and he spills it on the ground. "Did you put sh*t in it or something?" Immediately Sanji gets angry at this even as the rest of the chefs do the same, calling his soup horrible. Even Zeph joins in, insulting Sanji's food and saying that if he continued working here this restaurant would go under for serving such horrible food. Sanji can't take that anymore and walks out of the door, but he is still just sitting on the ground as he hears everything going on inside. Naruto takes one of the plates and tastes the soup. "Whoa, this is actually petty good." "We know," says one of the cooks. "But if we didn't say that Sanji would never leave this place to accomplish his dreams." Luffy is a little surprised by that. Sanji on the outside could hear everything that they were saying and quietly mumbled, "I can hear you, you bastards. Hey, can you give me a second serving? This soup is so good," says one of the cooks who had insulted the food before. After a little while, Sanji comes back to the kitchen and says to Luffy, "I will join your crew, Luffy. I will accompany till you become king of the pirates." "Yehhhhhh," screams Luffy in joy. Naruto is happy at this too as he says, "Thankfully we didn't have to kidnap you." "What?" questions Sanji as he looks at Naruto. But the latter just gives him some friendly slaps on the back. Nothing, no need to worry about it." Bah! Dead Cat was using his tail to grab a spoon and drink some of the soup. "This is really nice. Glad a good cook like him joined our crew." Dead Cat then looks at them and says, "Okay, now we need to go get Nami and we will be set and ready to go to the Grand Line." After a while later and some tearful goodbyes Sanji and the rest of the Straw Hat crew set sail. Jin on the other hand is now wearing a waiter's uniform as he says to Sanji, "Sanji, don't worry, I will keep this place safe for you, so don't worry about anything happening to this place while you are on the Grand Line." Jin had made his decision and has decided to protect Baratie and Sanji's place so he doesn't have to worry about it while he sails the Grand Line. While they were saying that, in Kokoyashi Island, inside Arlong Park, the fishman himself was sleeping while laying on his chair on the sun. Arlong had a red sun tattoo on the left side of his chest, and a nasty handprint scar on his chest. Suddenly Arlong's body is covered in cold sweat and he clutches his chest where the handprint scar is. In his dream, he saw a giant Kisame looking down on him with terrifying red eyes. The Giznak Kisame opens his mouth and says in a terrifying voice, run away. Never show your face ever again in these seas." Ah! Arlong wakes up with a loud scream as his body is covered in cold sweat. His old wound still aching as if it was made yesterday. Kisame, damn him. Chapter 82, Naruto's Father. After they set sail Naruto was crying as he bit onto the sails of the small ship that was given to them by the Baratie cooks. "Cheer up already. How long are you gonna cry for?" says Zoro as he looks at Naruto with an annoyed look on his face. He had been crying for over an hour now. But I am so touched," says Naruto as he gets even more emotional. "It was such a beautiful goodbye." "Okay, that's enough of this," says Dead Cat as it was using a map and compass to navigate but Naruto's whining just made it way too difficult. He jumps on top of Naruto's head and grabbed his hair. "Ow! Ow! Ow! Stop it, Dead Cat, that Fu * King hurts," complains Naruto as he tries to get the cat off his head. "Well, stop your whining already, you are annoying everyone." complains the cat as it bites Naruto on the head. Ow! Okay, just stop it, you stupid stray cat. Concedes Naruto. In the end, he stops whining and asks dead cat as it jumps off him and back to looking at the map and compass. By the way, what will we do once we find Nami? Everyone looks at dead cat and pays attention to this. It is clear what we have to do, says dead cat. We must defeat Arlong. Nami is most likely holding something dear to Nami hostage. We gotta go and save her. I will be her knight in shining armor, says Sanji as he has a calm look on his face. He hates someone like Arlong who does something so despicable. Even Luffy is angry at this as he grinds his teeth. Usopp and Zoro are riled up too. They thought that Nami was just some thief, but it seems her situation is more complicated than that. But Zoro is still a little skeptical at this and asks dead cat, "Are you sure the situation is like that, or are we just overthinking it?" Dead cat nods at that. Yes, Arlong is someone from the Grand Line. He used to be Jinbe's second in command. Jinbe is a Shichibukai. Everyone looks at dead cat confused, not knowing what that means, even Naruto. Oi! Naruto, I understand the others, but you grew up in the Grand Line, why do you look so confused? Oh! You mean the cool group of people that Jinbe and Mihawk are a part of? Realizes Naruto. You have lived in the Grand Line your whole life and didn't even know some basic things like this. Mumbles dead cat in annoyance. Okay, I will explain it to you only once, so pay attention, ask questions at the end of the explanation, and don't interrupt. The first half of the Grand Line is ruled by one of the three powers, the Marines. Also in the world, there are three big powers. One is the Marine/World Government, the second is the Shichibukai, which Mihawk and Jinbe consist of. The Shichibukai are pirates allowed to operate by the world government as long as they pay the government a part of their loot. Now comes the second part of the Grand Line, which is ruled by the Emperors of the Sea, Big Mom, Whitebeard, Jaw, Kaido, and Shanks Dash. Oh! So Shanks is one of these Emperors of the Sea, exclaims Luffy. This pisses of dead cat, which just jumps at Luffy's face and starts scratching him. You dumb foo *K. I especially told you to not interrupt me. Affirmed dead cat. To him Luffy is like a second Naruto and he is already annoyed with one. After the beating, dead cat continues explaining again. As I was saying, those are the current emperors. Now, this is where the situation with Arlong is and how we estimate his strength. First, he is physically stronger than Krieg, and he is a fishman, so he can breathe underwater, and his level of Fishman karate is unknown. Fishman karate is a type of fighting style for fishmen who use the water in their surroundings to attack. Anyway, Arlong and Jinbe were comrades. But now their relationship is a little sour, but also we don't have to worry about any retaliation from the fishmen once we enter the Grand Line because of Naruto's dad. Jinbe also won't dare to act because while he technically works for the world government, he is Emperor Jaw's dog. The others are surprised by this and are a little curious about Naruto's parentage. Oh! I remember now, exclaims Naruto. Jinbe is that guy who Kisame and I beat. Zoro imagines Mihawk and someone who seems to be a Shichibukai like him got beaten by Naruto's brother, but what shocks him, even more, is someone can actually have under him someone at what he assumes to be at Mihawk's level. The world is truly a big place. Zoro can't help it and wants to ask some questions, but Usopp beats him to the punch. So who is your father, Naruto? Naruto shows a sign of reluctance as he looks at dead cat. The cat nods and says, as long as they don't spill it to someone outside of this group, then it shouldn't be a big deal to say who your father is. As dead cat says that, it makes the rest of the crew swallow in anticipation. Naruto nods too and has a serious look on his face as he says, my father is Emperor of the Sea, Jaws. Everyone's faces are filled with shock at this. While that was happening, in the Grand Line, Mihawk was sitting on his boat as he crossed the calm belt to enter the Grand Line. Puru puru puru. Suddenly he hears a ringing and he pulls out a transponder snail from a hidden compartment of his small boat. He is a little surprised at this, as the people who know his number are quite few. He can count the people who have his number with one hand and still have fingers left. Catcha. He answers the dindinmashi and a familiar voice comes from the other side. Oi! Mihawk, I heard that you hurt one of my children. You wouldn't do that, would you? Once he hears who it is, a bead of sweat rolls down his face. He knows that if it's true, his chance of survival is almost zero if he decides to not run away. He knows that in swordsmanship he is better than Jaw, but at anything else in Jaw hugely outshines him. Damn, when did I ever hurt one of his kids? I am not dumb enough to do that, and Big Mom is a Yonko and she still barely survived the encounter. I do not recall ever husting or ever fighting any of your kids, says Mihawk. He knows that he will have to take a break from piracy if it is true. Because Jaw is the worst emperor of the sea that you want angry at you. He is the type of person who would go all out even against a rabbit. He would poison his enemies and weaken them as much as he can before even attempting to fight them. Oh, I think you did. He is a blonde kid, with cat-like whiskers and a black cat that follows him everywhere he goes, explains Jaw with a calm voice. I see. That is all Mihawk can say as a nervous expression appears on his face. It's no use saying anything since Jaw already knows what happened. I advise that you don't come to the New World, stay as far away as you can, that in the event that I can't control my anger, I will only rip out your arms by the time I find you, because maybe by then my anger has subsided a little, says Jaw, and after that, he closes the call. Gotcha. Shit! Exclaims Mihawk nervously. Jaw being after you is the worst. Especially at sea, because the next thing you know your boat will be sunk out of nowhere and your body will be ripped to shreds. Seems like I will need to go on a small vacation in North Blue. The meeting with Shanks to tell him about the kid with the straw hat will have to wait. Chapter 83, Newspaper. Jaw POV. After that little threat against Mihawk, I couldn't help but smile a little. By now, not even someone like Mihawk would like challenging me. To be a Yonko, it doesn't necessarily mean to be strong. Yonko is just a given title, that is all there is to it, though it is a common trait amongst the Yonko to have personal power and their crew to be strong too. I think back during the canon timeline of how Luffy was recognized as a Yonko. Blackbeard, Big Mom, and Kaido can be *tch about it as much as they want. They don't decide who gets to become a Yonko anyway, so their opinion doesn't matter. I mean, Blackbeard had some impressive feats and all that, but was Luffy any less? At least from the perspective of the public he wasn't. He destroyed Enies lobby, of course, it was because of the Buster Call, but the world government will never admit to that. He is the only person to ever create such a massive breakout from Impel Down. He is also the person who stood next to Whitebeard, freed Ace, and even took a hit from Sengoku. He even confronted the Tree Admirals by himself and lived to tell the tale. He also defeated most of the Shichibukai and even has one of them join his crew. He even has a loyal armada of 5,000 members under him. The whole thing in Whole Cake Island is also a perspective thing, as he truly did go and wreak havoc in Big Mom's territory, and he also suffered no losses, so to say. From the view of the public, this is absolutely terrifying, and Luffy already has the deeds needed to become an Emperor of the Sea. After all, the damn thing is a title, not some level of power. I used to make this assumption in my first life too. This world doesn't have such a thing as Yonko level. It's like saying someone is president level of smart. Also, even the Yonko can be defeated by some normal, in comparison, people. For example, if the circumstances were right, someone like Magellan could defeat Big Mom. Why? Because of his poison. It isn't as if his poison will stop working just because Big Mom has a title or something like that. That is why I've understood, when living in this world for 30 years, fighting is more like a game of rock paper scissors than anything else. That is why I can be everyone's worst counter, because I am strong and I am a fishman. Even against someone like Shanks who hasn't eaten a devil fruit, I would have an advantage against him in almost everywhere in the world. I can drown him the same way I would drown any other human. But anyway, I stopped my mind from wandering to things like this. I am going to be meeting the man who makes Yonko and Pirate Kings. I would call him the most powerful man in the world, in a way. But while Jaw was doing that and meeting important people and discussing certain things with them, Naruto and the rest of the Straw Hat crew were close to Kokoyashi Island and were eating some food made by Sanji. "You are a really good cook, Sanji," says Naruto as he grabs some meat and eats it. Except for Sanji and Dead Cat, the other members all don't have to table manners. Dead Cat uses its tail by grabbing a knife to delicately cut the meat. Currently, their boat was kind of small, but Naruto was able to find a table inside his personal storage and used some nails to tail it to the boat, and they were all eating. The shock from Naruto's parentage already passed over, and Dead Cat did tell them that Naruto had actually ran away from home and his father doesn't know about it. He will most likely bring back Naruto if he figures out where Naruto is. But Naruto reassured them that his dad will let him do whatever he wants as long as he doesn't go around telling people that he is Jaw's son. They all agreed that this is a secret that must be kept between them. So Naruto, do fishmen poop? Asks Luffy out of nowhere. Sanji is immediately ticked off by that and kicks Luffy in the head. Oi! Don't ask questions like that when we are eating. Yes, they do. You too, don't answer so casually. Screams Sanji at Naruto, who answers the question so casually. Sanji was about to yell at them some more, but suddenly a giant creature breaks through the water surface. Boom! It creates a wave as it does so, and it splashes water around. Naruto, Zoro, and Sanji just turn their heads and look at the creature calmly. Usopp is absolutely terrified of this and even started screaming things like we are all gonna die and such. Also, while the others were distracted, Luffy ate everyone's food except Dead Cat's, as the cat almost stabbed Luffy's hand with a knife when he attempted to take his food. Naruto smiles at this and happily says, "Whoa! That looks like a sea monster from the Grand Line, kinda on the small side though." The creature is a giant sea cow with a seal-like structure. He has a big round nose with a gold nose ring, cow-esque face, horns, and green spots throughout his body. "Small!" exclaims Usopp, his fear evident on his face. He looks back at Luffy and is about to beg him if they maybe don't have to go to the Grand Line, but he notices that there is no food on the table and Luffy's mouth is full of food as he looks around innocently. Ah! Luffy ate all of our food. Everyone looks back once again and sees Luffy. He is about to swallow his food, but Naruto appears and grabs him by the throat. "Luffy! You bastard! How could you do this?" But as Naruto says that, in the end he still adds, "Damn it! I should have been the one stealing everyone's food. Why didn't I think of that?" Momu, the sea monster, looks at this all awkwardly too, not knowing what to say. In the end, since it doesn't know what to do, it attacks the small ship. But before it can do so, the others notice this, and Naruto suddenly has an idea. "Let me handle this, guys," says Naruto as he jumps off the ship and lands on top of Momu's head. "Well, little guy, you will make a nice pet." As he says that, he does an axe kick down on the creature's head. Bomb! Momu starts falling down immediately and Naruto jumps off its head and back into the ship with a smile on his face. Luffy clapped for him. He told Naruto that it was a pretty cool landing that he just did. Dead Cat just looks at Naruto and asks, "So you intended to tame that sea monster by force and make it drag our ship back to Kokoyashi Island, right?" "Yeah," says Naruto, confused by where Dead Cat is going with this. The cat just points its paw at the creature and says, "You just knocked it out, you stupid." "So?" AKS Naruto back, but he then suddenly realizes what that means. He scratches the back of his head and says, "Oh right. Sorry guys, teehee. Don't try to act like a cute girl," yells out Sanji in annoyance. Bah! Luffy on the other hand laughs at this. But while that was happening in East Blue, in the New World, Jaw's guest finally arrived. "Oh, sorry Jaw. I was just getting a new scoop for today. Some new rookies have started appearing," said the weird bird-looking man. Jaw smiles at that. "No big deal, Morgans." The man was big news Morgans. The man who can make people all around the world dance to his heart's tune. He is the one and only news source around the world. The man who declared GOLD, Roger Pirate King, and so much more. Power isn't only physical power, concludes Jaw. I could snap this guy's neck like a twig in less than a second. But he is more powerful than I in influencing the world. "So why did you call me for Jaw?" asks Morgans. "The last time you called dear old me, you asked me to find Shiki for you." Jaw smiles at that. He never would have been able to find Shiki the first time without the help of the man in front of him. Shiki forgot that he was getting a newspaper, and if you are getting one then Morgans knows your location. "Oh, this time I called on you for something bigger," says Jaw as a mysterious smile dawns on his face. This makes Morgans even more excited. "Oh! I can feel the smell of the big news. Come on, tell me Jaw, this curiosity is killing me." Chapter 84, Jaw's Plans. So Jaw made the deal with Big News Morgans. After that he just lied back on his throne with a satisfied smile on his face. Things are coming along nicely. When the time for the perfect chance comes, I will finally be able to take this world. Right now, if I go to straight-out war against the world government. I will lose, it's as simple as that. But my chance will finally come, concludes Jaw, as only a couple more steps and everything will fall into place. Jaw POV. Sitting here in this room, the smile won't go off my face. The world government wouldn't let me even expand on Paradise, much less any of the blues. It all comes down to power really. If I was stronger than them, then I wouldn't have to really ask them anything and I would just take it. Sadly, they are stronger. I am not necessarily worried about someone like him or something like that. If he was so strong he wouldn't have to hide his existence and even have to get rid of people throughout the history of the world. Even if he was strong, I am pretty sure that with the right strategy he can be dealt with. Plus my children are getting stronger. Kakashi and Kisame can both hold back admirals on their own. They are my official commanders, but still. I am hiding a lot more than that. I have Nagato with his float fruit. He doesn't have any official bounty because he is mostly quiet, and even when he fights he gives the credit to his siblings. He also is strong and should be able to hold back an admiral in the case of a fight. I would leave Akainu to Kisame because that guy is crazy strong. Kisame should be able to hold him back, especially with his future sight. Kakashi would handle Kizaru and Nagato would handle Akiji. Now that the admirals are being held back, there comes the monsters. Garp and Sengoku. I can take on Sengoku on land, if there is some water around and I have Sea Prism Stone on me. On the other hand Garp, that guy, he will need to either die off or maybe be swarmed by Itachi's clones. Still, I can stalemate the top combatants for a time. But what about the vice admirals? There are a bunch amongst them who can be considered for the admiral title if one of the admirals dies. Meaning that I am not quite ready to fight the world government, especially since there are still some old monsters like Kong and maybe the Gorosei. All of that is unimportant currently as I have Kaido and even Whitebeard to stand as my allies. Then there's Shanks too. I have no idea where he stands. I am not sure what he asked Roger before he went to Laugh Tale. Was he asking for forgiveness? Is that why he cried after it? Maybe Shanks had been poisoning Roger or something like that. Nah, I doubt that, but I won't deal with fiction. I must deal with reality. I now understand why the Marines stopped fighting when Shanks told them to, and they even allowed him to take Ace's and Whitebeard's dead bodies to bury them. I am stronger than Shanks, but if I went to ask the Marines that, they would start attacking me. It's not about power, it's reputation, and respect. Sengoku knew that Shanks came to stop the war, he came to stop it and not play petty tricks. Shanks is a pacifist by nature, he would let someone spit on him and he would never hit them back. To me that is dumb, but to him, it makes all the sense in the world. Now the question comes, will I have to kill Shanks or not? The guy is a pacifist and is okay with things being in order. The world government might not be saints, but they keep order around the world. My attack move must be fast when I decide to attack. I must take over all of the blues under 24 hours if I declare war against the government. I must isolate them from the world because then there will be no turning back anymore. Either I win this war or me, my children, and every goddamn fishman on the planet is bound to get slaughtered if we decide to attack. Damn. I haven't even started having full control of the Bless. I have alliances with a bunch of kingdoms. But none of them would fight with me in the case of a world war. That ancient country who fought against the world government lost only because it had just Wano as its strong ally. But I also don't want to fight a war that I am unsure of winning. It needs to have at least an 80% chance to succeed or I won't even start the war at all. I will be content with letting someone else weaken the world government and Marines before I attack them. I wonder how my sons on East Blue are doing. I know that Naruto is okay and even seems to have joined the Straw Hats. Well, I guess luck works in strange ways. But about my other son in East Blue, General POV. Naruto and Dead Cat have Momo wake up and they tie their ship to the creature. Momo is pretty obedient as Naruto talks to it and explains to it what to do. Surprising the other crew members, after all as far as they know, fishes shouldn't understand what a human is saying. Arlong looked at the men in front of him and asked, "Are you sure you want to start a rebellion against me?" The whole population of Kokoyashi village had come to fight him as Nami's treasure was taken away by Marine Captain Nezumi. Of course, when Nezumi guessed that Nami was hiding exactly 100 million berries, then everyone knew that this means that Arlong put the marine guy up to this. The fishmen had gathered on one side and the humans on one side. Arlong wasn't really worried about the villagers being able to overthrow him or something like that. He was only sad because he would no longer have any leverage against Nami. Well, that is a shame. ponders Arlong as he yells out loudly. My brethren, kill them all. Immediately the fishmen and humans charge against each other, but suddenly out of nowhere, a shadow covers them all. Arlong looks up and he is shocked to see a ship flying towards him. Boom! It crashes into him, and the rest of the fishmen look at the crater and worry as some other people come out of the crater. It was the Straw Hat crew. Usopp had a terrified look on his face. Zoro and Sanji had angry ones, while Luffy and Naruto were laughing out loud in joy. Bah! Oi! Luffy, Naruto, you want to kill us or something? Yells out Sanji. He could see his life flash past his eyes. I still haven't finished my dream of finding Fishman Island and seeing mermaids. I mean, find all blue. Dead Cat then jumps on Naruto's head and points towards Arlong, who rubs his head as he gets out of the wreckage. That is the guy you gotta beat, Luffy. Luffy nods at this, and some fishmen mooks try to stop him, but Naruto looks at them and smiles. You are about to taste my new move. He runs his fingers along his body, opening zippers everywhere, and he looks at the fishman goons. Zipper zipper machine gun. Suddenly, gun barrels appear out of his zipper openings. Or more specifically, the barrels of the weapons Don Krieg used to own. Pow! 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 Countless bullets rain upon the fishman, and Arlong is angered by this and goes to hit Naruto. Gum Gum Pistol. Bomb! But a fist hits him in the face and he is thrown away. Your fight is with me, bastard, says Luffy with an angry look on his face. No one messes with my nakama. Chapter 85, Naruto's Past. Naruto starts shooting at the fishman as he has an evil smile on his face. Maaha, you losers can't handle my machine gun attack. He is able to shoot through many of the Arlong pirates while Luffy is fighting their captain. Zoro also slashes at Hachon, and since Zoro's critical injury has been closed up pretty good by Naruto's zipper fruit, Zoro even did this with the help of the 2 new swords that Naruto gave him. The guy truly has a lot of things in his zipper dimension. Sanji is fighting Kurubi too, since the man used his elbow shins to deflect Naruto's bullets. He is not having an easy fight against the fishman at all, as Kurubi keeps using moves from Fishman Karate to keep Sanji at bay. On the other hand, Chu, a fishman with very thick lips, looks at Naruto. He is a devil fruit user. As soon as he understands that, he stealthily goes towards the sea close by and dips his head into the water, intaking a huge amount of water as his body bloats up like a balloon. He looks at Naruto and slaps himself in the stomach. Waterfall shot. Spew. A giant torrent of water is thrown at Naruto, whose eyes widen once he sees this. Even as a half-fishman, his weakness to water is undeniable. He can feel the water surround his body, and as it does so, he feels extreme weakness. It feels like his strength is all being drained from his body. Chu smiles at this. As he has spewed all of the water, he actually uses the water torrent as a swimming tool to arrive at a weakened Naruto and punch him in the face. Less than 100 Tao punch. Even though the lunge is weak in comparison to the hits Naruto can normally take, he still bleeds a little from his mouth. He is weakened by water and can't use any strength to even defend himself. But as Naruto felt the hit to his face, it brings a tear to his eye as he remembers a certain memory. Flashback/Naruto POV. I look at my mother, as she lays my head on her lap and sweetly smiles at me. How are you today during sparring? As she asks me that question, I can't help it but look away ashamed. I did badly today too. Every one of my other siblings is better than me at everything. I am not good at using a sword, gun, spear, trident. I am also no good at Fishman Karate or Ryokushiki either. But even when she sees the expression on my face, my mother has a smile on her face. I can see her blue eyes twinkle in the light as she pushes her long blonde hair away from her face. I see, says mother as she runs her fingers along my hair softly. Don't worry, Naruto, I am sure that one day you will grow strong too. But will I really though? I ask her the question a little forcefully. I see that I made her a little sad when I said that, so I decide to immediately apologize. Sorry mother, I didn't mean it to. It's just that Dad is so strong and I thought that I would be strong too. As I say that, I feel something wet land on my face. I look at my mother and see her eyes are filled with tears as she hugs me to her chest. I am sorry, Naruto, it's all my fault. I am not strong enough, so my genes weakened your potential. I have always had a weak body. I know that if you were born to another woman you would have been stronger. I am sorry, my son. I gave you such a weak body. I can't help it as I feel a little ashamed at this. Don't worry, Mom, I will work 100x harder than my other siblings so I won't be weak. I want to be able to protect you after all. My mother looks at me and smiles, though tears are still running down her face. But will you still be able to defeat one of your siblings that way? I am unsure of that, but I still nod at Mother resolutely. Yes. I will do it, Mum, I will win for you and beat all of my siblings. I say that I stand up and start going towards the training field. I am going to train now, bye. Mother just waves at me and says, even if you aren't able to, I will still be proud of you, Naruto. I nod at that and smile. Today I will definitely beat one of my siblings. When the time to fight came, I see that I was going to fight with Nagato. At the end of the fight, Nagato is under me on the ground and his face is still bloody. But I am unsure if he is truly down. Bomb! 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 So I punch him again, and again, and again. I am about to punch him once more just to be sure, but I suddenly feel someone painfully grasp my arm and almost break it. I look up and see Itachi's cold eyes look at me. Naruto, what do you think you are doing? This is only a spar. I look down at Nagato once again and see that he is knocked out and his face is fully bloody. Immediately a sense of guilt appears inside of me. Sorry. I didn't mean to. Father will be hearing about this, says Itachi simply as he lets go of my hand, and I see my other siblings also looking at me strangely. What have I done? We never go this far in spars, why did I do this? These were the thoughts plaguing my head. Reiner, Naruto's mother, POV. Hearing that my son has defeated another one of the children, my heart was happy beyond belief. Finally, Jaw will pay attention to me. Naruto, my son, my beautiful son has finally done it. Now we can be a family all together, a normal family. Just like I used to have before I went into slavery and was saved by Jaw. Jaw will finally understand that I can make strong children even though I have a weak body compared to the other res that he saved. Creak. I hear the door and see Itachi and Jaw. Why are they here? Well, it doesn't matter as I smile sweetly at my soulmate Jaw, and ask. Honey, I was just cooking dinner, would you like to join me and Naruto? Itachi can join too if he wants. Hopefully, the little sh*t doesn't join. I want time for only me, Naruto, and Jaw to spend some time as a family. Reiner, you wouldn't possibly be encouraging Naruto to be harsher on his siblings, would you? Asks Jaw, and I feel like his tone is strange today. When I look at him I can see that he has a calm look on his face. No, of course not. I answer him, well, I might have implied that to Naruto. But Jaw doesn't need to know that. Jaw narrows his eyes a little and simply says, I see. Naruto POV. As I enter the house with heavy feelings I see that Dad and Itachi are here searching through the place. I look at Dad and ask him, Dad, what is going on here? He looks at me with a difficult look on his face and says, Naruto, it seems like your mother, she ran away. What? He then shows me a goodbye letter with my mother's handwriting. Flashback END. General POV. As Chu punches Naruto in the head. Naruto asks the question that he has been asking for years now. Mother, why did you leave me? Chapter 86, Luffy's and Naruto's pettiness. As Naruto reminiscences on that memory, his body moves slightly and he punches Chu on the throat. But due to the water weakening him, the punch was too weak and Chu smirks at this. Pathetic dash. But suddenly a zipper appears on his throat and it opens. But this time unlike normally, which doesn't really cause any harm. Blood spews out of Chu's throat like a fountain. Naruto can do this type of critical attack too and attack only the skin and muscle with his zipper fruit, this way the blood can freely flow out of his body as it's not affected by the ability. Chu falls on the ground, dead. Every one of the Kokoyashi villagers screams out in joy, to them a fishman dying is the best thing that can happen. A dead fishman is the best fishman. Arlong has cruelly managed and suppressed these villages so they all feel a bunch of hate from it. Naruto takes a deep breath and stumbles a little as he stands up. He can feel his strength return back as he stands up. Damn, I will need to be a little more careful from now on. In the end, he just looks at Luffy and Sanji as they are still fighting their opponents. Zoro is sitting on the ground, so is Usopp. How are your injuries? Asks Naruto, as they look at Sanji fighting Kurubi. Sanji seems to be losing quite badly as he wasn't at all accustomed to Fishman karate who can send shockwaves with fists and such. Kurubi has been deeply inspired by a certain someone, so he is stronger than he would have been otherwise. Pretty good, except the sharp tingling of pain when I move too much, then I would think that I am perfectly healed. Says Zoro as he looks at the zipper where his wound should be. That is good then. Acclaims Naruto. But after this, we must have a doctor look at the wound. I am not sure what effect my fruit might have on the wounds. My arm is still being held together by a zipper and I don't feel any pain from it, but I must check with a doctor too. Zoro nods at that, then they are both back and looking at the fight between Sanji and Kurubi. The former releases a barrage of kicks that knocks out Kurubi. Sanji is also injured and he has some blood coming from his head and mouth. He takes out a cigarette and lights it. A damn fish shouldn't try fighting a cook. Says Sanji, slightly annoyed as he stumbles back to Naruto and the rest are. Naruto laughs when he hears Sanji say that. Sanji is actually way more injured than he seems. Fishman karate has been for making damage that appears on the outside. Naruto's opinion of Sanji went up from him being just a perverted cook to a perverted cook who can back up his promises of chivalry because he has the power to. Suddenly Naruto remembers something and runs his finger along his stomach and a zipper appears along his stomach. He opens it and a dark blur jumps out. It was Dead Cat. Cough cough. What the hell, Naruto? That place is nasty as hell. Says the cat. You are really a hoarder. You will need to organize that place, it's gross. There are molded foods, broken plates, and expired products. Naruto looks at Dead Cat. Yeah, someone will have to do that. Why are you looking at me like that? Asks Dead Cat confusedly as it narrows its eyes at Naruto. Suddenly he understands what he is saying. Oh hell no, I am not cleaning that gross place. Naruto just shrugs at that. Well, I can't enter that place and you know that. Plus Dad said that I am not allowed to fight without you inside me. Don't say it like that. Don't say it how? Asks Naruto confusedly. Dead Cat sighs at this. He knows that Jaw said that Naruto must never fight if Dead Cat isn't inside Naruto's dimension. Fighting Krieg was different as Dead Cat was still within the vicinity. But even Dead Cat doesn't dare to not follow Jaw's requests. Well, they are more like orders, but it doesn't matter. Jaw didn't let Naruto leave without countermeasures that will help Naruto survive. Dead Cat wasn't just a simple cat and it obviously is here to protect Naruto. Jaw will have my head on a plate if something happens to Naruto. Dead Cat looks and can't help it but be a little jealous of the family Naruto has. The boy doesn't even know the enormous lengths his father has gone to just, though I might not agree with Jaw on some of the things he does, I can respect that the man is an amazing father to his children. Okay, I will do it if you give me the diamonds from Krieg. Says Dead Cat. Naruto is ready to try and negotiate that price down a little. But Dead Cat cuts him off by saying, it's non-negotiable. Naruto is a little put down by that, but in the end, he just says, sure, for organizing my stuff 10 times. The cat nods at that with a smile on his face, but he can see Naruto have a smug look on his face. He probably thinks that he can make me organize the stuff in there when they get messy as hell. But I also said that I will organize, not how good of a job I will do. He is 100 years too early to try and trick me. As Dead Cat contemplates that, she sees Luffy do a gum-gum gatling against Arlong. Every time it hit the palm-shaped scar on Arlong's chest, the fishman would wince in pain. Arlong didn't have access to his sword and most of the damage he did against Luffy wasn't anything too big to Luffy. Only a couple of bite injuries and Luffy was pretty okay and no other injuries. Arlong never was too good at fishman karate, and blunt force was almost useless against Luffy. The people scream in happiness, Naruto screams in joy and even goes to put Luffy on his shoulders, parading him around the villagers who were crying out of happiness. The people that saw this went and notified the whole island. The marine captain tried to interrupt the fun but he was beaten by Naruto and Luffy half to death. He did a bunch of empty threats and ran away. As night came about, the people had started crazily celebrating. The children were all looking at Dead Cat mostly as he was eating a steak with impeccable table manners. Whoa! He can talk. He even chews with elegance and even drinks wine. You think that it's some prince that was turned into a cat and can only be turned back to human with a kiss. Dead Cat hears this and looks at the kid. Oi kid! Bring me some sake and your mom here. Dead Cat was evidently drunk as he said something like that. At the same time, Zoro is drinking some sake and Sanji sits down and exclaims, "Whoa! I am full already." As soon as he sits down, Naruto and Luffy are seen running at Sanji. As they arrive there, Luffy asks, "Sanji, do you know where the melons with ham inside are being served?" Luffy was holding the meat food while Naruto too had his mouth full, so he asked Sanji the same thing as Luffy, but his question was unintelligible. Sanji just looks at them and says, "Haven't you two been eating ever since the feast started? You never feel full or something?" They both nod at this and take a bite of the meat sticks that they have in their hands. "Sigh, there is food being laid around by the villagers everywhere, but I think I saw the dish on the outskirts," says Sanji. "Thank why dash?" Luffy is about to thank Sanji, but then he sees that Naruto is already running to the outskirts of the festival. "Ah! Naruto, don't run ahead, that is cheating." "Ha ha ha, we are pirates. So of course I am gonna cheat." "Baka!" mocks Naruto. Luffy gets angry at this and stretches his arm, catching Naruto on the shoulder and pulling him back as he himself runs ahead. As Naruto is pulled back, he isn't quite, as he uses his zipper fruit to temporarily separate one of Luffy's feet, and it stops him from running while Naruto charges on ahead. Luffy then attaches his leg back and closes the zipper, allowing him to use his limb again and chase after Naruto. Chapter 87, Roger's Will? Who cares about that? While Naruto was celebrating, his father in the New World was talking to a certain someone in his transponder snail. Jaw has a smirk as he talks on the transponder snail. "So how are things in East Blue going?" "Everything is going accordingly. I have gathered the money that is not at all associated with you. I have at the moment 80 million. I will need some more to be able to purchase a deserted island and start my mercenary company in East Blue," says the man from the other side. Jaw would never be able to gather an army big enough to take over East Blue with his name behind it. The world government would never allow something like that to develop. But if the army was under the name of a random person from East Blue who seems to have no connection with Jaw whatsoever, then it will be just another mercenary company built by a bounty hunter. "How much time do you predict that you will need to gather funds for the project?" asks Jaw, his eyes intensely staring at the transponder snail. 2 years at a minimum," says the man from the other side. "East Blue doesn't have high bounties, and the average bounty for a criminal is 3 million. I was gonna hunt Straw Hat, but, you know, Naruto is in that crew now too, and as his brother, I would be pulling what is considered a D***CK move if I did that." Jaw chuckles amusedly at that. "Yeah, that wouldn't be a good idea. Plus you will get Garp after you." "Why?" asks the voice from the other side. He is surprised at why the marine hero would hunt him down if he killed Luffy. "Well, Luffy is his grandson. Shanks might go after you too, but I will easily stop him from even leaving the New World," concluded Jaw. He is a fishman who has control over the seas of the Grand Line. "By the way, where are you now?" "Oh, I am in Lode Town. This place is always full of criminals trying to enter the Grand Line, so a lot of bounties to collect in here," explains Jaw's son. Say hello to Naruto for me then," says Jaw. His smirk becomes even wider as he says that. He closes his transponder snail, and as he does so, Jaw's body shakes in excitement as a smile appears on his face. Soon, so soon, just a little bit more. As he thinks that, he looks at the red poneglyph in front of him as his smile widens even more. "I am not the one Roger is waiting for. Who gives sh*t? I am a pirate. I don't give a foo *k about Roger's will." In East Blue, after the feast, the Straw Hats set sail. Of course, Nami had her own goodbye by stealing everyone's wallets before leaving. Of course, she left 100 million set behind, so it doesn't matter really. Later on, Naruto and Luffy stare at the newly planted orange trees, and Sanji protecting them on Nami's orders. Naruto looks at Luffy and asks, "So, what is our plan?" "You be the distraction and I will be the one who grabs the oranges," suggests Luffy. Naruto just narrows his eyes as he looks at Luffy suspiciously. "Yeah, how about you be the distraction and I get the oranges?" "What?" exclaims Luffy. "No way, you will just take the oranges and eat them yourself." "Well, you are gonna do the same anyway," argues back Naruto. Then their argument evolves into a brawl as they start fighting. Nami sees this and just glances at them from the corner of her eye. They're at it again, this the third time in the last hour that they have fought. She then looks at the map in front of her and the compass. Dead Cat comes forward too and jumps on the table. You will need some better equipment before going to the Grand Line. Really? Questions Nami. She already knows that Dead Cat and Naruto are from the Grand Line, so they are bound to know more about it. Can we get them at Logtown? Dead Cat nods. Yeah, we will need a log pose and some new charted maps. Also inks and such other things in case of a deadly storm. Nami hums slightly as she looks at the Grand Line map that she got from Buggy. So which island should we plan to visit first? Dead Cat looks at the islands on the map and immediately notices a couple of islands that were uncharted. It uses its tail to wrap it around a pencil before he starts writing something on the map. These are some uncharted islands that I can pull off memory. Like Little Garden and such. Extremely dangerous and deadly islands. Explains the cat as it draws the rough shape of the islands that it can remember. Nami looks at the map and nods as Dead Cat starts explaining a little bit about the Grand Line and how its weather works. Nami wouldn't believe Dead Cat about some things, but she knows that the cat would never lie nor joke around about something like this. After Luffy and Naruto's brawl, both of them were on the ground. Sanji. Hungry. Moans Luffy as his stomach gurgles. Naruto on the other hand just opens a zipper on his body and takes out a bunch of food, and he eats it all for himself. Luffy looks at him and whines. Naruto, food. Munch. Naruto takes a bite out of his food and looks at Luffy on the ground. No way, this is my food, says Naruto with an annoyed look on his face as he gulps down all the food in his hand. Aw! Yells out Luffy as he grabs Naruto by the neck and shakes him around. You are so selfish. Come on, I am your captain. Naruto just pushes Luffy off him as he yells back. Aw! Luffy, this is my food, you bastard. Then they start fighting again for something's useless. Luffy dodges Naruto's hits and uses his elastic body to put Naruto on a hold. Naruto on the other hand just bites down on Luffy's hand. Ah! Luffy yells out loudly. Nami sigs once again at this as she sees Naruto and Luffy back to brawling again. They never stop, do they? She then takes out her newspaper as the news coup bird looks at her and explains to her by using hand signs that the price of the newspaper has raised. What? Questions Nami. Raised it again? Hey, if you keep doing this I will stop buying from you guys. The news coup scratches his head at this uncomfortably as it makes some bird noises. After the bird flies away, Usopp looks at Nami and asks her. Why are you doing that now? You don't need to save any more money. Nami looks back at Usopp and sees that he seems to be working in a strange chemical concoction. Yeah, but I don't want to be a poor pirate. Also, daily expenses like this add up. Explains Nami, but she sees that Usopp seems to be creating something. Anyway, what are you making? Heh! As Usopp hears Nami's question, he smiles in pride and explains. This is my super Tamako Bashi. If this gets in anyone's eyes it will feel like they are on fire and dash. Crash, as he is saying that Naruto's body crashes into the concoction and it splashes into Usopp's eyes. Gah! Screams Usopp as fire cones out of his eyes. Nami looks at Naruto and Luffy annoyed as they keep on fighting. Oi! You two stop fighting, we are almost at Logtown. As soon as she says that, Luffy and Naruto go to the rails of the ship and look at the island who can barely be seen at their current distance. Hell yeah! Yells Naruto in joy and he looks at Luffy. Where are you gonna visit first? The execution stand, says Luffy without even having to give a second thought to the question. Naruto's smile widens even more. Hell yeah! I am coming too! Ha 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 ha, we are gonna see what Gold Roger saw when he was being executed, declares Luffy as he and Naruto make plans on what they will visit. Nami looks at them weirdly as she sees them act so friendly as if they haven't been fighting most of the time on the ship. And now they are back to being the best of friends once again. Chapter 88, Logtown and Meeting a Sibling. As the Straw Hats arrive in Logtown, everyone goes their own way. Luffy went to the execution platform. Naruto wanted to go there but Dead Cat dragged him to go with it and Zoro as the cat lent Zoro some money for swords. It doesn't want Zoro to be scammed. Each other Straw Hat goes his own way. While Zoro was walking he had an annoyed look on his face as he had to drag Naruto by the back of his shirt as tears came out of his eyes. Ugh. I wanted to go with Luffy to the execution, this sucks. I have to go with Marimo Head here to buy some sh*tty sword. This sucks. I am stuck with the sh*tty swordsman and lame cat that should get experimented on by scientists on how it can talk. Dead cat uses its tail to slap Naruto on the face. Stop whining like a kid. Naruto just mumbles something unintelligible at this. As they walk along, Naruto finally grumpily walks for himself so Zoro doesn't have to drag him. As they are walking, they see a girl with short hair up to her neck and she is wearing glasses. She is being threatened by two ruffians who seem to be holding a grudge against her. Hey! You need to tell your captain that he should release our friends. The girl shakes her head at this. No, that is improbable to ever happen. Maybe if we ruffle you up then Smoker might change his mind, says the other ruffian. Zoro is about to pull out his sword and teach these guys a lesson, but suddenly out of nowhere. Bang bang! A giant sword hits them in the head, knocking them out. Zoro immediately tenses as he feels his bones tingle like the time when he met Mihawk. The people around look at the person with the giant sword. Is that Demon Hunter Zabuza? Yeah, he has been staying in Lode Town for 2 months now. He and Smoker have been hunting pirates whenever they can. In the last year, no pirate from East Blue has left to go to the Grand Line because of these 2 years, explains another pedestrian. At this time Naruto's eyes almost pop out of his sockets as he sees a tall man with the lower part of his face covered in bandages. Zabuza then crouches down and asks, Oi! Silly Tashigi, you need to get some straps with those glasses so they don't keep falling on the ground every time you fight. Zoro sees that the woman named Tashigi seems a lot like his childhood friend Kuina. So in the end he is surprised but walks away from the scene. Naruto also walks along with Zoro and Dead Cat. Zoro notices that something seems wrong with Naruto as he isn't complaining or anything like that. This was extremely strange, and once he looks at Naruto he sees that he has sweat along his face. His eyes seemed unfocused and he seemed rigid and nervous. What's wrong with you? Asks Zoro with a questioning look on his face. Naruto just shakes his head and says, No, nothing is wrong. What Zoro didn't notice was that even the usually calm Dead Cat was a little nervous. They arrive at the sword shop and Naruto tries to make himself invisible. Zoro had 300,000 S-set that he had borrowed from Dead Cat. He could get 2 decent swords. He got them and was ready to go outside of the shop when a tall man entered through the door and looked around. His eyes landed on Naruto and he seemed to have a smile under that bandage that he uses to cover the lower part of his face. He is the Demon Hunter Zabuza. Hello, their little brother, says Zabuza as his eyes land on Naruto. Zoro's eyes widen at this as he understands what this means. Long time no see. Naruto sweats even more and extends a shaky handshake towards his brother. Hello there Zabuza. Zabuza's smile seemed to widen once he heard that. He knows that Naruto has no idea Jaw already let him go. In contrast, Naruto thinks that he ran away without anyone noticing his escape. Zabuza notices this, but he puts a hand on Naruto's shoulder and says, Don't worry brother, Dad isn't mad at this. But he did say that you must impress him by the time you want to enter the new world. Naruto's body relaxes as he looks at Zabuza, who looks back at him like he was dumb. You thought that Dad didn't know your location? Zabuza notices his embarrassed expression and laughs out loud even more. Zazazaza, anyway, I will be waiting to hear about your adventure brother. As he says that Zabuza walks past Naruto, leaving the blonde dumbfounded. But he stops and turns at Naruto once again. He then pulls 2 swords wrapped in bandages and throws them at Naruto. Little brother, hang on to these. You might need them one day. Naruto nods and puts the swords in his storage space absent-mindedly, not even looking at what swords they were. Later on, the rest of the crew except Luffy meet up together coincidentally. Usopp and Sanji were carrying a giant fish together. Nami had a giant bag of clothes with her too. She looks at the rest of them and says, Hey guys, go and get Luffy. The humidity in the air is rising, so there will be a storm soon. Naruto, you come with me and store my bag and fish in your storage dimension. Dead Cat, you enter in there too and make sure that the fish doesn't touch my clothes bag. The cat nods and jumps in as Naruto opens a zipper in his abdomen. He then almost splits his body in half as he had to fit in the fish. The clothes were easy as he just pushed them in. Naruto can only store things that are less heavy and have less mass than him. But there are loopholes. For example, if he couldn't store the fish, he would just cut the fish in 2 and store it that way, one by one. Later on, Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji come back to the ship and they all set sail in the storm. Apparently, they had fought Tashigi and Smoker. As they set sail, they see the reverse mountain, and they all smile. They each announce their dream by putting their foot on a barrel. Even Dead Cat jumped on the barrel and said, "I want to protect a certain someone from his stupidity." Naruto puts his foot on the barrel too and says, "I want to live a life that when I am on my deathbed dying, I will think, wow, this life of mine has been quite something." The others laugh at this too, and Dead Cat looks at Naruto with a curious look in its eyes. On the New World, on an unspecified island, Jaw was sitting on the beach and hearing a transmission of what the Straw Hats said. He smirks at this. Zabuza had a spy device put on the ship as soon as he noticed that Naruto had landed. Now they enter the Grand Line. Chapter 89, I Wouldn't Mind Dying by Your Hand. While the Straw Hats enter the Grand Line through the reverse mountain, they are all amazed by it. They accidentally almost go to the Calm Belt, but Dead Cat keeps them on track. With great difficulty they pass the entrance to the Grand Line and they see a mountain? No, it's a giant whale. While that was all happening, in the New World, Jaw was simply relaxing on a desolate tropical island. He took a sip from his coconut while contemplating if he should kill Big Mom now that she is weakened. Boom! But suddenly out of nowhere the whole island shakes and Jaw's coconut drink spills into the ground. J-A-O-woo. A loud yell that shakes the whole island. Jaw immediately recognizes this voice as it belongs to Kaido. "Oi! Kaido, I don't want to fight you, madman," says Jaw. There is truly no benefit to fighting Kaido now. They would just ruin this island where Jaw likes to take vacations, plus the Marines might come to interfere. Plus Jaw knows that since he is close to water he will be able to defeat Kaido. But still, the battle will take a couple of dozen hours or even days before a victor is decided. Fights at their levels last days upon days. Jaw kinda doesn't want to waste his time in that. Not only would he lose some of the things he likes, he will even gain nothing from it, except maybe a couple of new scars. Kaido has a smile on his face as he gets out of the crater he fell into and walks towards Jaw, who is still sitting on his summer chair drinking some coconut water. Thankfully it wasn't all spilled away. "Oi! Jaw!" calls out Kaido. Jaw looks at Kaido but all he sees is a spike club going for his head. Thunderbagwa. Bomb! Jaw's head rockets backward and he is thrown backward. Boom! His body is thrown backward and bounces off the ground a couple of times before it stops. Jaw still has the now empty coconut in his hand. He clutches his hand, breaking it, and he gets up. He dusts off his short pants. Jaw has some blood coming from his nose too as Kaido smashes him on his face. He snorts the blood out of his nose and he can breathe from his nose once again. "Damn, that hurt," complains Jaw as he massages his nose. Kaido looks at Jaw and smirks. "Come on now, Jaw, you have gonna give it your all to try and kill me now. I wouldn't mind dying against you now." Jaw sighs at this and he walks towards Kaido casually. He walks past him and picks up his sword Raijin from the ground where he was lying on his chair previously. The sword crackles with electricity and Jaw pulls it out. The electricity shines brightly and he looks at Kaido. "Oi! Go and drown yourself or something, you bastard. I don't have the time to deal with you. BZZZZT. Fwash!" They both disappear. Jaw tries to pierce Kaido, but the beast uses his hand to block Jaw's sword. Jaw easily pierces his hand, but Kaido smiles as he still clutches on Jaw's katana and swings his spike club and Jaw's head again. Bam! Jaw almost feels like he is gonna pass out, but he uses Haki to protect his head so his skull isn't split like a watermelon. But he still spits out blood from his mouth and blood comes out of his head. "You are asking for it now, you Fu * King annoying lizard," warns Jaw as he brings back his fist and punches forward with all his power. Bomb! Less than 100,000 Tau punch. The shockwave travels to Kaido's head and it makes him spit some blood out too. But contrary to feeling pain, on Kaido's face, there is a wide smile. "This is what I'm talking about." Pow! Kaido punches Jaw in the head, and the fishman flies back and crashes into the sand. "Damn, this is annoying," ponders Jaw. He really doesn't feel like fighting at all. A fight with no benefits is the same as getting mugged. My head hurts too as I got hit 2 times by Kaido. This sucks, but I will have to get serious now. Jaw gets up and he lets the lightning from his sword run through his body. Fwish! He moves so fast that not even Kaido can follow his moves. Thunder Sword style, 9 god-killing slashes. Jaw appears behind Kaido and he sheathes his katana. Kaido looks a little confused by this until burst. Suddenly 9 large and deep cuts appear along his body, they spew out blood like a fountain and he even falls on his knees. "Come on now Kaido, you don't want to fight me," says Jaw as the lightning in his katana settles down as he uses haki to stop it from overflowing. "Wararara," laughs Kaido out loudly. "Jaw, this is a place to die as well as any. A man's death should be glorious, this is a place as good as any, to die. TCH, you suicidal madman." Winces Jaw, he wonders why Kaido has to come and fight him. Why doesn't he go and fight Whitebeard if he wants to die? Actually, Whitebeard might not be able to kill Kaido now that he is old and has heart problems. I wouldn't let Kaido fight Whitebeard as he might kill the old man. Can't you just go and fight Shanks or Big Mom now? You always come to annoy only me, complains Jaw as he starts walking towards Kaido, as he now gets up and looks at Jaw. Big Mom? The old hag is too weak now. Shanks? The same reason, the man's haki is pretty good though. But it's hard to find him as he always moves around. Explain Kaido, usually, he wouldn't talk so much when fighting someone at Jaw's caliber. But he and Jaw don't have a bad relationship, they are kinda not really friends. Kaido will come every now and then to fight Jaw, while Jaw will oblige and fight Kaido to get rid of his boredom. Kaido's body then starts morphing into his giant dragon form. Jaw yawns once again and goes to the shore of the beach and crouches down, putting his hand on the water. Heat breath. Kaido sends a huge blast of heat at Jaw, who swings his arm underwater. Giant shark. Boom! A giant shark made out of water comes out of the sea as Jaw swings his hand at the heat blast. Boom! The water and fire attack clash together and cancel each other out. Jippo. Jaw kicks off the air and flies off to fight Kaido once again. Kaido breathes some wind blades from his mouth. Jaw looks into the future and dodges all of the wind blades. While Jaw and Kaido were fighting, Kakashi, Kisame, and Nagato were in a ship not far away from the shore where their father was fighting Kaido. "Shouldn't we go and kill Kaido?" asks Kisame. Kakashi shakes his head. "No need to, Dad has this under control. Also, he hasn't said anything about this being the right time to kill Kaido yet. We must wait till the time is right," says Nagato as his finger twitches a little and the ship moves, floating off the sea and going above clouds. Anyway, the Marines will be coming soon to break up this fight. Chapter 90, Fighting by My Side. As Kaido and Jaw were clashing, after a couple of hours, Kaido had dozens of deep cuts along his body and countless thin ones. Jaw on the other hand looked quite not injured when compared to Kaido. Though he was still breathing a little heavily and some slash marks and a little burnt skin was there amongst his body. That is when both of them are about to clash once again as Kaido swings his tail at Jaw and the latter throws a wind slash at Kaido's eyes. But the latter blows a breath at the slash and disperses it. But that is when marine ships start to appear. Kaido looks at Jaw and says, "We should get rid of those bugs before we should resume our fight." Jaw just gives the marine fleet a side glance. "Yeah, sure." Jaw just swings his sword and the air in front of him disfigures as it creates a giant blue slash. Thunder Sword style, Flying Thunder Slash. Thoush! Boom! The slash goes towards the ships but a giant tsunami of magma stops the slash from landing. Kaido at this time also breathes out his flame blast. Heat breath. Like a beam blast, it goes towards the ships and this blast breaks through the magma wall, causing a giant explosion. Boom! It destroys all of the ships within the vicinity. Pow! Then Kaido immediately turns back and hits Jaw with his tail. Jaw is thrown into the water roughly. He took almost no damage from this hit, as he immediately just threw a couple of giant sharks made out of water at Kaido. The sharks are about half as big as Kaido's body. But in his dragon form, Kaido easily blows away the water with his heat breath. But still, the water splashes around and like a giant tsunami, it hits Kaido, weakening him considerably. Ryukazan. Bomb! That is when a giant magma fist appears and it hits Kaido, burning his skin roughly and even making him scream in pain as he is thrown away. Gah! Kaido crashes into the island and is covered in lava all over his giant dragon body. Kaido was taken off guard by this attack and couldn't counter at all. The true damage was dealt by the lava seeping into the wounds that Jaw had inflicted onto him. The fishman doesn't pay attention to him anymore, he looks at the man in front of him. He smiles as he sees Akainu looking at him with a calm look on his face. "Admiral Akainu, how can I help you?" asks Jaw with a mockingly polite voice. "By dying," says Akainu simply as he throws a giant magma fist at Jaw. "Well, I am afraid I am not going to be that much help in that regard," says Jaw as he clenches his fist, imbuing it with hockey and turning it dark. Bomb! He clashes with the giant magma fist as he uses high-level armament hockey to have the magma not even touch his fist as he punches. Jaw winces slightly as he can feel the heat dry up his skin extremely. Another fist of magma tries to get him from the side too, but Jaw uses his other hand with his sword in it. Fwish! He throws a slash that obliterates the magma fist. But in that split second, the initial magma fist that Jaw clashed against explodes like an egg and it covers Jaw. That was the future that Jaw saw, so before the fist did something like that, he jumped backward and threw a slash at Akainu, which didn't injure the Admiral at all, except splash some magma around. He is tough, concludes Jaw. He knows that he can be killed by this man in front of him. Just one wrong move and magma will cover his body, killing him. Kaido might survive something like this with only heavy injuries, but I will be killed. Akainu's devil fruit has terrifying attack power. Plus my Fishman karate shockwaves are pretty much nullified by him as the water boils as it gets close to him to transfer the shock. Jaw also knows that Akainu is monstrously tough. The man took 2 of Whitebeard's powered punches and came out of it okay. One was even when he wasn't on guard against the old man. Jaw doesn't have any move in his arsenal that can even come to the attack power of that. He could go underwater and attack that way, but then Akainu would use his awakening of his devil fruit. Nothing is stopping him from doing that. Still, Jaw isn't nervous at all. He knows that he has a high chance of winning. Though he will have to sacrifice a couple of limbs to win the fight, so he won't come out of it unscathed. Akainu is no joke. The man almost single-handedly killed Whitebeard. In the end, Jaw just looks at Akainu and smirks. "You can start escaping now," says Jaw simply. Akainu is confused about what he means by that. BZZZT. Thor. Boom! A giant beam of lightning hits him. Kisame appears behind Akainu and swings his sword at the Admiral. But the man catches Kisame's giant sword with his hand and melts it. But suddenly his eyes widen once more as he sees a giant dragon head made out of water is about to swallow him. He creates a huge amount of magma around himself. Volcanic eruption. Boom! A giant pillar of magma is thrown at the giant dragon head that is bigger than can be created with simple Fishman karate. Akainu can stop the attack, but he suddenly feels a presence behind him. He doesn't have time to even react when less than 100,000 Tau punch. Bam! Jaw hits Akainu in the kidney. A ripple passes through the Admiral's body as it flies away at breakneck speed. Pow! Akainu spits out a mouthful of blood as Jaw's armament hockey wrecks his internal organs. Jaw smiles at this. He looks at Kakashi, Nagato, and Kisame. They helped one-shot an Admiral. "Should we chase after him?" asks Nagato. Jaw shakes his head. "No, we won't be able to stop him from running away. He has a head start from my punch. Kakashi will be able to catch up, but that would put him in unnecessary danger." Kisame smiles at that. "I would like to see an Admiral run away." "You will be the one running away if you were alone," says Kakashi as he points to a scrap of metal that Kisame's sword has now become. Kisame smiles at this. "What is there to worry about? I know that you guys will have my back." Kikikiki. Jaw just looks at his children with a smile on his face. They have come quite far. They can now largely influence battles at high levels. Akainu is no danger to me as long as I have my children with me. Just as I planned, I can no longer be challenged by even Whitebeard. My crew would destroy him. Jaw and his children then board the flying ship. None of them paid attention to a heavily injured Kaido. Jaw just gives the fellow emperor a side glance before he leaves him there. If he dies, I am taking over Wano. If he doesn't, then he will most likely be angry at the world government. It's a win-win situation for me. If I kill him, I will get the least benefits. He can overlook Wano for me until I decide to take it over. That's the end of this tale for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in part 4. Peace.